Oh, we're recording.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's on, it's being,
You're up, David.
Conservation Commission meeting, November 15th, 2023, and present are
David Neiman.
Billy Cunningham.
Andrew Chaplin.
Patty Gale Stack,
Jean Walker.
Evelyn Miller. Jane Raymond.
Charlie Bedard.
Susan Tucker.
Okay, the Conservation Commission and the Open Space Committee will have a workshop to begin the process of starting the stewardship of town conservation and open space property. We're gonna, I know David's got this. Are we gonna start on this, or should we try to eliminate
Let
the
me-
easy?
Let me give you a little overview.
Okay, I'm sorry,
So-
Did you see that?
go ahead,
I just
David.
want to state a philosophical position and what we need to do. Look, the whole issue of getting this stewardship going is a big, big issue. It is a lot to do. What we cannot do is approach it from the top, everything all at once, or there will be complete chaos and nothing will get accomplished. So there's all sorts of things we should not be discussing tonight. We should not be discussing what kind of forms we're going to use, or where the forms are going to be stored, or any of that. We need to, for any large complex project, if you want to be successful, you got to identify the requirements, the constituent basic parts that need to be resolved. Get that done before you start thinking about how you're going to integrate those parts into the whole solution. And that's how we need to approach this problem. Because otherwise, nothing will happen, I guarantee it. And what we really need to, the real starting point for all of this is, what are the conservation lands? And what is the status of each? And so the initial starting point was the list that is in the spreadsheet originally sent out to you. And you don't need to look at all that or resolve it tonight. Just know that it's there and it's a basic starting point. And it breaks down conservation lands by categories. There's lands owned by land trusts. There's properties owned by private landowners, but the land trust has a conservation easement with them. There's town-owned conservation land, and then there's private land, usually as a result of a subdivision process, the open space, where there's a conservation easement that was granted to the town. And how we approach all of those is going to be different. Starting with the land trust, because that's the easiest one to discuss. Land that's owned by the land trust, and the private owned land with conservation easements held by the land trust, you can put those all together and then break them into two different categories. One is, did the town have anything to do with that being established? In other words, did we put any money into it? Did we hold an executory interest? Because there are some people who have entered into easements that had nothing to do with us. We didn't, and for that category, there's nothing we need to do. There's nothing we have any business doing, actually. That's a private arrangement between, that private landowner and the land trust.
Just to know where it is.
Well, we keep track of where it
Yeah,
is because we want
that's-
to know, but we
yeah.
have no stewardship
Right,
obligations. And we have no business getting involved in it, frankly. That's a completely private transaction. The second category, which is lands that land trust owns where we donated money and in turn got an executory interest in the project, in the property, for easements that we contributed to, like the one we just completed up, up the road, the Clark Ridge Farm, because we put some money into it from the conservation fund, although, less than 5%, the other 95% was grants and bargain sale. With there, we have a responsibility, but not the primary responsibility, because the land trust is holding the easement. They will do all the stewardship work. We don't have to do it, and that's wonderful, because that takes a huge burden off of us. All we really need to do is make sure the land trust still exists, and still doing their duty. Sometimes they send us stewardship reports when they do an inspection, but not always. And we've never really required them to. We've never put it in documentation saying, you must furnish us with reports, but mostly they just do it for good relations. And I'm sure in any case, we could ask for it if we felt that we needed it. But that's not really an issue for us, because, you know, there's really only 3 entities in town, only 2 of which have done work where we have an executory interest, and that's the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests and the PLC, Piscataqua Land Conservancy, and we have a wonderful relationship with both, so there's no issues there. So we don't need to much worry about those. So that's pretty much everything that the Open Space Committee has done, the projects the last few years. The overwhelming majority of them are with the Land Trust. We have a few properties that we acquired around Page Hill Marsh, which is town-owned conservation land, and there we have the major responsibility for stewardship. We have all the responsibility for stewardship. And in the case of those, we have most of the information we need, but still a lot of work that needs to be done. Now, there are other properties that came to us, ownership that came to us, where there is a lot of work that needs to be done, whether it's land on the North Mountain that the commission purchased, but it isn't marked, the boundaries aren't marked, there's things that need to be done, there's baseline documentation needs to be prepared and so on. Not getting into that tonight either. The biggest problem and the biggest mess, which everybody's been kicking the can down the road because it's so scary, is this, the South Uncanunic lots. And that's why we should start with it. Let's take this big, difficult thing and get it done, and after that, everything will be a breeze. This is the biggest one, and it's been sitting here for too long. It's been kicked down the road for too long. It needs to be done once and for all. So I passed out a couple of pages, and the first one is just completing the inventory of Goffstown Conservation lands. And this is my little philosophical presentation that I'm kind of into right now. Before we could do anything, before we could even think about enforcing town-held conservation easements or doing the stewardship on the lands we own, we just need the basic data. You need to know what the deeds are, what the deeds say. You have to have that paper trail, because when you're doing stewardship, the paper trail is absolutely essential. If there's a infringement on a property that we need to enforce, any work that we need to be done in a court of law, prove it. Prove it you have the right to enforce that. Well, that's what the paper trail is all about. That's like essential step one, is having those records intact. And so that's where we need to start. And it's even more complicated with some of the conservation easements that the town has held, most of those being put in place by subdivisions that were done that were open space subdivisions. And we need to track down all those documents. We need to have the actual copies of the deeds, and we need to read them, because that defines what we can do and what we can't do. That says, who was this easement granted to? Was it granted to the town, or was it granted to the Conservation Commission? Now, Conservation Commission is the town. Any Conservation Commission owned interest or land is town-owned interest in land, but there's still a distinction. And that distinction is this merely town-owned land, or is this town-owned conservation land? And that distinction is absolutely critical. And for anyone who may question that statement, just remember what happened at Glen Lake, where land was acquired to be conservation land, but the due diligence wasn't done, it wasn't recorded as conservation land, and therefore there were no legs to stand on when it was taken away.
The school.
And to no longer be conservation land. So it's really, really critical to make that distinction and to sort that out. And that comes into play with a lot of these properties which have come to the town, where they received by the town as to be town-owned land or town-owned conservation land. In a lot of cases, the easement, the deed, whatever, will state this land is being given to the Conservation Commission. Well, it's being given to the town, but because it was given to the Conservation Commission, you automatically have that that assignment as this is conservation land. And there are, it's not as good as having a conservation easement or some, high-powered protection, but it is protection, and it does come with some restrictions. If you read the RSAs, you look at RSA 4114-A, which we always invoke when the town acquires land, but read section 2 of that clause. The section 2 of that clause says when land is conservation land, the town can't just sell it because it's conservation land. It's not that the town can never dispose of it or never change it, but they have to go through a process. It has to go on the ballot.
I would say
The whole
voting.
town would have to approve and so on. So it's an extra level of protection.
It's a big level.
It's big.
Yeah, it's a big.
It's not as big as it could be and not as strong as it could be, but it's important. And so that's one of the things that we're gonna have to determine with all this stuff is when I say, what was the intent of this transfer of this land? Was it to the Conservation Commission? Was it to the town, but with a statement saying it's for conservation? I mean, it has to be, those words have to be in the deeds. And once we determine and sort through all this, we're gonna have a lot that were done correctly, and that'll be great. We're gonna have some that weren't. And we can take corrective action on that. We could have the select board transfer it to the Conservation Commission. And that's been done here in Goffstown. I've run across deeds that say the town of Goffstown is transferring our town-owned land to the Goffstown Conservation Commission. So town is giving it to itself, but it's the change in the classification. So that can be done, and we have a wonderful select board that support the work that we're doing and have for some time, and I have no doubt that, and I believe the community would support that as well, so I don't think that would be a difficult challenge at all, but we need to find out. Before we do anything else, before we talk about how we're gonna send people out in the field to do the stewardship, before we talk about any forms, before we do anything, what do we have? What is the status? So I would really like to try that we focus that way
Wow.
and take this step by step so that we don't, just sort of flounder around trying to do too many things at once. Any thoughts, comments?
Are you giving us a homework assignment?
Oh, man, I'm sitting here, look, we all know the mountain, so are you gonna then talk about the mountain? Is that what we're gonna talk about?
And I think this is the best place to start.
Oh, yes, okay.
And homework assignments, we'll figure that out.
Well, I have a question about the lots on the mountain. And the question is not this map, but what is it in actuality now?
And that is the problem.
Yes.
Because what is it in actuality now is a lot of conflicting records. You look in one place and it seemed to indicate it's conservation land. You look at somewhere else and it's in a different list. It gets kind of confused.
And where are
And-
the dwellings that people are, especially the year-round ones?
Well, those
occupied?
are pretty clear. The ones that people are living in, those have deeds to those people. I don't think we're gonna have an issue with those. It's all these other, so this is, I don't know where this came from. I think I inherited
Might
this
have been a
from
master
Jason.
plan. Almost looks like master
Does it?
plan ink.
That looks like
That
it's off
could be-
the GIS website.
Well, yes, off of the
But-
GIS, but I don't know when and at what time
Okay.
and all that. And so I looked at this, and you'll notice there's some that I've put blue highlighter on. Those are ones that at the time this plot was made was not town-owned land,
Okay.
but have been transferred over time. The last one, we just, last year, this was transferred to us. Do you remember we talked about this in meetings? And
I seem to remember that some pieces of, some of these lots were transferred to the Catholic Church.
and
Yeah,
some
they-
from the Catholic Church to us.
Came back, okay,
But the thing is,
it's still,
just randomly take my finger and point to a lot and say, oh, this is town conservation land. The first question is, prove it. How do I know this is town conservation land? Because the records are so messed up and so incomplete, we really have to drill down in and see the paper trail. We have to have actual copies of deeds that say this was transferred. Because if we don't have that, we have no leg to stand on to actually do the stewardship. I mean, that is absolute requirement that can't be,
So I have
Glossed
another
over.
question, David. Do we know that each of these lots at one point in time had a deed?
well, it's
that's the problem
interesting
we
that
have to solve.
there, a lot of them say sold, which, and then there are others that are just not sold, so are they?
They belong to the railroad.
Well, no,
Mountain Railway
then I'm
Association.
wondering, wasn't it in 1960 that the conservation, that Conservation
Okay.
Commission, had- yes,
yes. If I can just back you
Yes.
up, let's start from the beginning.
okay.
So the second piece of paper that I handed out to you is called the creation of the South Uncanonic lots. So this is just a brief timeline to show where this all started from. And in the packet that you got, there were these smaller copies of this big plan. But if you look at it closely, it's actually two different plans, okay? One of them is numbered Plan 126, and the other one is labeled Plan 411. They are mostly the same, but they're not the same. They're from vastly different times.
126.
So 126 is the start of it all. So in this timeline that I've given you, so in 1903, the Uncanunic,
411, and that's the 126.
yeah, and ironically, the smaller number is the older one, the bigger number is the younger one. I don't know how that works, but
Well, this says, oh no, it has the same,
they have dates on them as
but the
well.
date is the same. 1905. Oh, yeah, no, this is,
One is a revised.
this is
I don't know if I can-
1910, this is
If I
1911.
can go through this, we're gonna clarify all that, okay? We're gonna clarify it, I promise. So 1903, the Uncanunic Incline Railway and Development Company was founded. That's the beginning of all this. In 1905, see, I always thought they built the hotel and the railway and all these lots came later, but no, these lots came right at the very beginning, the whole thing. They laid out this whole huge plot, and that's the plan.
Wow.
No, actually, this is the later plan. The original plan
This is 1910.
is number 126.
And that is 126 if it says 1910.
I'm sorry, 411. Okay, I've got to go back to my own paper. The initial plot plan was established in 1905. Electric trolley line was built to run from Shirley Park to the mountain-based area. In 1906, the plot plan was updated. I don't know what their changes was because the only plot we have says 1905, updated 1906. 1907, the Incline Railway and the Mountain House, the first hotel, was built and opened on top of the mountain. 1910, the survey was actually done in the field for that original plot. And the result of that survey was the plot number 411. So number 411 is the original plot.
So right here?
Yes.
Right.
In 1926,
You know what? It's
Mountain
probably-
Base Pond was built. Because they had sort of a recreation area down there at the bottom where the trolley arrived and you got onto the train, and then they wanted to make it more of a recreation area.
I'm sorry, David, so 411 is one big, huge lot, and then they broke it up into...
No, 411 is the number for the plan reference number.
All right.
Like this whole sheet, this
Plot
is plan
plan
one.
labeled it, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Then, of course, the hurricane of '38 destroyed the hotel, which I don't know, was the second, third, whatever one it was at the time. It did serious damage to the incline rails. 3 years later, 41, there was a fire that damaged the incline rail trail, and they actually repaired it and immediately had a second fire, which did even more damage. so then at that point, they were giving up on it. And so in 1947 and 1948, they took that original 411 plan, it was updated again, and they created plot plan 126, which is the big one in front of you. Now, what's the difference between 126 and 148? Well, the difference is,
The railroad. This-
well, the biggest difference is they added more lots. So there was area down around Mountain Base Pond which hadn't yet been completed as subdivided. And so if you look, when you compare the two plans, you'll see that in 126, there are now all these additional lots along the lake and stuff that,
Ah,
because
So
at
is
this
this,
point,
is
they
this the
were,
lake?
they added this.
they don't really draw the lake in well, but
No,
yeah.
This is the lake,
roughly
and
where
is
it
that the lake where it says Mountain Park?
It's
Yes.
somewhere out there, yes.
Yeah, it's over there.
Okay.
But you can see they added, they gave up on having this little recreation area down there, because the whole thing was coming to an end, and they were just, wanted to get rid of all the lots. So they added more lots. And so that's our big plot here, and that's kind of our starting point.
Like this one got bigger,
This is the same as here.
E, F, and then right in there,
It's
that
right
got
next to
bigger.
the,
All right, so.
Some-
Right.
the houses right
But-
next to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not very-
But this is
Anyway.
still our starting point.
Yes.
Just remember it crosses off once we're done.
And then in 49, they tore up the railway completely for scrap metal, and it was all over.
I thought there were two
So-
hotels.
Our challenge is
I
to
have no
go
idea.
from the
Another
starting
one was
point
built
of this
up.
big plot and try to sort out how did these lots come to us, and do we have legal standing for them, and what is that status?
The only thing I remember about the last hotel was that the land that it was on belonged to the King family. And Governor King,
He sold the towers,
he sold it, yeah.
For the towers.
to the towers.
Well, no, you're probably wrong about that, because I've seen deeds.
He
If you
purchased.
actually click on, you go into the towns, well, maybe it was in the chain, maybe King, but it didn't go directly to the towers, it went to the town of Goffstown. And the town of Goffstown sold most of those lots
To
to where the
him.
towers are now,
Now.
previous select boards in the past. Because you'll see it if you go online and click on some of those, you'll see the deed where it's transferred from town of Goffstown to such and such communications company.
We swapped with them too. The conservation swapped a lot to make the tower, you know. They gave us something and we, Susan Steiner had, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but
We did.
we did.
Yes, but now on every bump in New Hampshire, you can see a tower. I mean, I know it was a big deal when we did it then, and, you know, maybe you're regretting it, but the fact is
Oh,
that
no.
these
I
towers
mean-
are everywhere now.
Yeah.
And they used to try and pretend to make them into trees, now they just put them up and they're lovely.
Yeah. All right, so we need to find starting points. And did you bring your whole stack of,
I didn't know I was supposed to wait.
I asked you to. She has a whole stack of documents. This was among the stack.
Right.
And so this was a starting point. But we need to see that whole stack, because there's probably even more clues embedded in some of the things that you
Oh,
have.
the old deeds, you mean?
Well, so I started out, I got the process going here. I've begun this onerous task. Starting with, here's a warranty deed. It's listed on the bottom of this page I gave you from Vogel, 1978. Look at page number, where 457 lots were transferred from him to the town of Goffstown. So that's a great place to start, 457 all at once.
Was it transferred to conservation?
Yes,
Okay, because that's what it says here.
yes.
Okay.
So do we have a document that says which ones they are?
Yes, I, Ralph Vogel, for consideration paid, grant to Goffstown Conservation Commission of the town of Goffstown all the lands and buildings that get listed below. And this was why this document was so important to find, because I already had a copy of this.
Yeah, because I have a
But-
copy of that, but I think that was the only big one I had.
But you'd look at it and it says, you know, here's listing, well, it says the Pines section, lot 6, 26 through 29, 41. You go on our online GIS, you're not gonna find any of these lot numbers,
No.
because they all are relative to this plan. And you have to have this plan to know that this is the Pines, this is Chestnut Slope, this is B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, O, you know, because these are referenced in here.
Is this attached as a reference to the deed, or is that just, they just reference the numbers and we have to put that with this? to make it-
This was from 1948,
Okay,
establishing this. This is from 1979, when
Gotcha.
someone who had purchased a lot of these lots was now turning them over to the town. Don't know the details of the transaction, don't know if it's donated, paid, whatever, but these came to the town.
So
And
you
there's-
colored them in over there?
Yes, I took one of the small copies to try to make sense of this, to see it visually so I could compare with, and I found a lot of them. But I didn't find all 457. First of all, I could hardly read things, that's why I had this magnifying glass to help me. And there's a lot I didn't find. I mean, I've got them listed here. I'm going down through this deed, and it's like the Pines section, lots 41 through 48. I can't find 41, the numbers 41 through 48. And there's a number of reasons
This drives me nuts, right?
why,
Oh, it's,
because they don't all have the numbers written in.
well, there's 275s,
Here's a 10 over here.
so that's probably where part of the problem is.
Well, no, these are lengths, I think. This is the lot number here,
Oh,
36,
275 now,
Yeah, I think this
Okay.
is the length of the boundary there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not very clearly indicated, but.
Well, so it goes up to 40 and then we're missing.
Right,
Just jumped to
so that's
49.
why I was hoping two things, that one, when we get here and look at this big one, that we can find some of these missing ones, because maybe I just couldn't find them on the little plot. And if not, that maybe some of the other documents that you have might.
The only old one they had was that Vogel one.
No, I don't mean the deed,
what's
I
he
mean
looking
anything
for,
else with the
41?
map or any reference. I mean, you never know until you're sorting through this stuff, because you don't know what you're looking for to begin with.
41
49.
and
All I can
48.
guess is they should be over here
41.
because there's also a gap between 90 and 103. Just like there's a gap between 49,
Here's 40,
Or,
40,
40,
49.
wait, 40 what?
There's a
That's
gap,
one
Going up.
Yeah, what they want,
That would
41.
make
gap
it
between these
logical.
two and then 90 to
Right,
103, so I don't know. They should be here, right?
But,
But they're
who
not.
knows, yeah, should be doesn't answer the question, we need
Yeah.
to know
And then
definitively.
this one does the opposite.
And interestingly, if you look at this more recent thing, which came eventually out of the town GIS, you'll see that the pattern is the same. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is like all one big lot. This pattern is the same. So, and the other problem is, lot number alone isn't necessarily enough to dial it in, because they have these different sections, the Pines, Chestnut Slope, numbers repeat. You
Right.
can have a number 23 here and a number 23 there.
David, numbers repeat in one section. This section that's,
Oh, those are by their letters on there.
Yeah, it's the G.
H-I-J, so it's J section and then there's
Yes.
A-I,
These
oh, I
sections-
see, and that's why they're, okay.
Yeah,
I
like,
got it.
like
Oh,
these
yes.
sections, the
Yeah.
Pines is a huge section,
Okay,
and it's faint on here, but this is section D, this chunk over here.
jump
This
to the
is-
right over there.
Yeah,
Is that
right
it?
above the Pines, this section here, which was not part of the original plan, but created later. This is the K section. I don't know what section these along the lake are supposed to be.
Yeah, now people live there, and there's a house here.
Yeah, most of those
Sanford,
won't even be
something, not
conservation
Sanford,
then.
was it Sanford?
Some of those
Yeah.
wood homes I thought you guys had
Yes,
created
Richard.
driveways
Which-
across
Wick-
conservation land.
Wicket.
Yeah, this all stuff
Yes.
will
He
sort
gave
through.
up.
And we tried to get legal help back then and we couldn't get it.
Yeah. Well, I know that there had been efforts before to look at eliminating some of these roads, and you did have some paperwork on that, so.
On the, on the map?
You were showing me some stuff at your house about previous attempts to
Oh, yeah.
try to eliminate some of the paper
Oh, the
roads.
paper
Oh, you
road.
can't see
Yeah,
it
I
from there.
was on
Just-
that too.
And you showed me a
But
map
this is
where
one,
which said
two,
discontinued.
Oh, yes, that was a big map.
7, 8, and it
Big
starts
map.
over
Yeah,
again.
Now, 'cause it is a
Well, that
little-
map said discontinued, but this stuff is still in the town GIS.
Yeah, it should be in the
So,
town. I don't know whether Patty can find the results of our paper road committee when we eliminated
Oh,
town,
yeah,
the
we
roads.
I'd have to ask the
66,
select
7,
board's
8.
office, because that's where that would be. Because
There's
that's
no
something that
69.
fell.
Because we
Skip
should
it.
find it. We did a report. We
On the
did-
paper
we
roads.
went
We
through that,
listed
yes.
all
And didn't it go on the
It was,
ballot? to
Mr. Lawrence, who
eliminate
lived
I
there.
don't, I would do nothing with a paper road.
But every single road that you showed me in that report that was discontinued is still in the town GIS.
Right, it shouldn't
That's
be.
just what I'm talking about, it's,
But that needs
that's
to,
why we have to
But
dive
that
into
could be
this stuff.
easily fixed,
The
if
paper
it
roads
was
in the
done.
report.
If it was done.
If it was
Paper
done,
roads
it could
report.
be easily fixed on the
But
GIS.
we have to make sure that, you know, people didn't do the work, issue a report, and then the report wasn't officially acted
Exactly.
on. If it was never voted on by a select board, or, you know, it's those details. It's like, you know, we say this land is conservation land, but if it wasn't designated, it
Right.
isn't conservation land.
right,
And
we never,
that's what we
and there was nothing ever printed for the committee members. So we
Evelyn,
won't
weren't
do
you
it,
the
but there was
chair of
nothing printed.
conservation
Yes,
when we
I
had the
was.
paper roads
Wicket,
committee?
it was.
Wicket? No.
Was it Roland Neves? Was he on our board? And,
No.
was it Roland?
He was.
I was,
I think Joanne was on the
I
paper
think
roads
Joe,
committee.
yeah.
When you got-
I know
when-
Susan and I were.
yeah.
So that would.
Okay, so that could be solved if we get
You
that
talked about
information.
homework assignments before, that's a good first homework assignment. Who would like to address that?
What, find out,
To find out what happened with the paper roads
I'll do that.
study and
I
whether
will do that, I'll go
it
hang
went
out
through
with
to
Patty.
completion.
Yeah, I can find that one out.
Or she can
That might
find
be
out.
Patty's
She's
homework, so
an
that'll be an easy one.
So this one says, supplement to plat 1905, 1906.
Right.
Is it
think
possible
this
there's
would be
another map
great
that
for
they're
an
referencing in the deed of 70?
Well,
of the-
that's why we had these two
Deed
copies.
trade.
I think this is
So
too
that
much for us.
supplement to 1905, that's this 411.
Right.
Does
And-
411
Yeah.
have those lot numbers
No, it
on
doesn't.
This should be so.
No, it doesn't.
The only
No,
difference,
right, well, 411 says, you know, they're talking about something from 1905, so is there like a paper referencing, whatever that's referencing?
Yeah, I wonder.
This is
Does she say
411.
anything about
Uh,
the Conservation
well, this, there, we could find
Commission?
possibly the deed book and page number, but that deed is gonna reference this plan.
Yeah, it's not gonna make that useful because there's no points because it wasn't surveyed then.
This is right, 800 lots.
Yeah.
In language, they're
And
gonna
then,
say
the-
this
and then
is
the
plan.
commission
Yeah,
fell
right.
apart.
So that,
I just think of like
Thought something,
a
and then
subdivision,
just.
you know, a neighbor that builds houses, they space out the addresses by
Being done by someone.
5 numbers in case they subdivide those. Maybe they did that to build
Of
more
the
later,
list, 'cause
but
we
that's
made a
just,
list.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
actually, if you
And I
start,
remember the
as
birches,
you dive
wherever
into
the heck
this,
the
you start
birches
looking
are.
closely, you'll see a lot of times they're running sequentially, very logically, and other places, they do not.
Okay,
You'll
so
be
that's.
running and then
okay,
the
Let's move on.
593, 594, well, 595 is way over here in a different place. These roads, like this. And
It
you'll
was
also,
done on a piece of graph paper in an office in Boston. It was no,
Exactly,
No.
these are
This
never
is
going to
like-
get built.
right.
Well,
And
we
these
can
are-
get boundaries from abutters, because the abutters, that when they bought land abutting this property,
Got the-
they had to have.
got the boundaries.
Up above, up on top of the mountain, what's his name? 3 people up there that we know, the 2 people, they have, they
Well, the
have.
Gassos are
Oh,
up
yeah.
there.
The gas, yeah, the Gassos and, oh, my favorite man, what's his name?
Oh, yeah,
What's his name?
I know.
A lot of these do
Joe-
not have a
his
survey.
First, Joe.
Right,
I would imagine most of them don't have
I
a survey,
know.
other than this is the survey.
Yeah, I mean,
This is
they
the only
don't.
survey ever done for most of this stuff.
And the tax maps were done in the early 60s, and a lot of these were combined into a lot.
Yeah, there actually was a lot of consolidation if you look at, like, and this reflects what you currently still see in the GIS, by the way, whenever it came from.
So a
you said-
lot of it has already been
Well,
consolidated.
a lot of small lots were consolidated into bigger chunks,
Oh.
but why all this line of big chunks aren't consolidated into one lot? I don't know, makes no sense. It's like, they didn't wanna do any consolidation that would eliminate a paper road is what it looks like.
Probably.
Mm.
And But there's no reason these paper roads can't be eliminated. They're totally absurd. There's no,
There's no way to put the.
Bob Spinelli?
Bob Spinelli, thank
That's
you.
right,
Oh, my God.
Spinelli,
It just
on
takes-
top of the mountain.
I have
we
it in
just
my-
need to sort
my
through
phone.
all the stuff
Right.
and present it so that those actions can be taken. You know, that's one of the goals of doing all this. The goal, two goals of doing this, one is to make sure it really is designated for conservation. That's critical. Second goal is, once we have this information together, then the town can take this and do that consolidation. And it'll be a huge benefit for everybody. I know Scott would love it, not having to list all this stuff.
Yeah, I just think it'd be easier to start with how it's shown currently and see what it was, because the ones that are designating now, like when you look as you know, he has, this is conservation,
Right.
town land, he's
But
got
the-
like little green tabs on each
But
one.
the problem is that doesn't necessarily give you the answer. So if you,
It isn't
This area-
necessarily legal.
well, this whole area up in here, you go in the GIS and you'll see, if you look at this.
Is that up towards the top of the mountain?
Yes, up on the top. This piece of, this area right here, this is lot 4068. This is lot 4068. This is lot 4068.
Yeah.
There's 13 lots in this whole section that are labeled lot 4068. Go into the town GIS, and only the tiniest little one in the corner, if you click on it, it comes up lot 4068. That's the only one, and it refers back to this Vogel deed that we were just talking about. And all these others in the GIS, you click on, it says no information available. What? I mean,
It probably
How did
was
they end up on
They
this?
probably assigned a different lot number to them.
Or they consolidated it and didn't take the lines away.
but presumably it was consolidated because they all say 4068 in this plot, but in the current GIS, they do not.
That's why I'm saying that in the current GIS, if they were all the same, they might, sometimes even our subdivisions, the older ones, they will reflect different lot numbers and they got reassigned lot numbers.
And so it's just a good example of something that needs to be fixed and could be fixed. But before you can take that action, you have to prove
Sarah,
where all those lots came from, where all these original lots, and that's why we go back to this old deed. If we can look them all up and prove like, oh yeah, all those 4068 lots, they were actually transferred to the town, now you have a legal basis to take those corrective actions. But you can't do it without the legal basis. If you don't have the actual data to support it, you just can't do it. But we can find it.
So how do we find, would those deeds be in the town?
Well, any deed is recorded at the Hillsborough County Registrar.
Just like
And it
searching
is-
through their database, it's a,
and assessing
Heading.
pretty much has all the deeds too, from when they started back in the 60s, even before I should say, I shouldn't say back to the 60s. But they have copies of deeds in the files. If, I mean, if they, it's rare they don't if it's missing, but that would be, so to me, it's like someone would have to come into the town hall and like kind of go into the assessing, because like Southern New Hampshire Planning, when they do research for some of their reports, they notify us that they're coming in, we allow them to come in, they go through the building files, they go through the assessing records. I mean, someone obviously on a town committee or someone that's hired to do something like that, we would let them come in that's working for the town. Just, you know, we talk to Derek and have it arranged, and something like, just go in the room across the hall, the big, you know, the big files behind me. I mean, those are all assessing right directly behind me, and, in them is like history of deeds as they get transferred.
So could one of us go in there?
I would say, yeah, I'd have to talk to
I
Derek
don't know
and
whether they
Scott.
want us.
You know, because you represent the town, so
Right.
to do a history, you know, a project, it'd be easier for someone that's doing that to come in, and we just, you know,
Yeah.
set you across the hall in that little room.
So how do we divvy up
I'd have to
the area
check.
of deed that you're gonna be looking for? Because we can't,
Well-
I mean, you're gonna take one.
Yes, and this all isn't all gonna happen all at once.
No, but I
This
mean,
is a lot.
to begin,
So that's, to begin with, I started with the Vogel deed,
right.
because that's a big one, 457. And everything, sorry, but some of these are replicated because it's on 3 sheets, so. But everything that I've colored in here in blue, which is a hell of a lot of them, are the ones from the Vogel deed that I was able to locate in the plot.
Oh, that's great,
So that's a great start.
yeah,
But
darn.
there's probably another 100 that I didn't find.
Oh,
If there's 457, I found maybe 357, I don't know the exact count, but
That's all from the Vogel deed?
yes.
Oh, wow.
So here it says, that's why I'm hoping, here's the big map, let's just see if we can find some of them. It says the Pines section, so you can see where the Pines
We're
section
looking at the big map.
Yeah.
Fine.
Can we find lots 41 through 48?
Here's
No.
40.
No.
No.
We look
Well, I
for 'em.
can going up this way, they were over here,
And
but
there's
that,
49, but she's
those
looking
are
for
D,
48.
right?
Those aren't in the
41.
pines, are they?
you
I
want
don't think so.
41.
And see, there's 40, but there's no, and
Well,
see, going up.
that's the $1,000,000 question. So we,
Mountain Ave.
It's going up this way, I saw.
Those are the pines still?
Oh, the pine still goes through there.
Yes, a 41 was there.
So it doesn't even.
Then there was 48, so 41 and 48, is that part of that or
Isn't that
no?
what he said
41
he's
is in
looking
off
for?
of Incline Ave.
But he doesn't know if that's part of it.
He's looking for the pines.
Between
In this
Incline and
section
Mountain
here.
This
Ave.
is D.
I think this would be great for an attorney.
It's in the corner.
I agree.
That's this part.
ah, but that's not the
He
Pines.
agrees.
This,
do we know
the
from
deed,
all the
the
pictures?
deed
Trying to
said,
get them,
I know,
you
but the
know,
numbers, you can find a 41 in multiple places.
But did you have
We
those
know that
marked?
this is not considered the pines,
Be-
though.
Look at
This
your
is
map,
too
it's
big for
labeled
us.
the
No, that's
Pines.
the Pines. What's
That's the
this?
Pines.
That's the D. That's the D.
It's- Yeah,
Yeah, but
It's
what's
not
it-
colored in.
But did you find, was the 41 over here highlighted in another, was that was D 41?
that's
in
D.
the-
They show a D here, they show a K for this section, and Ks I had pretty good luck with.
This must
And
be, this must be
section
the,
D,
oh, this
there's
is
like
K.
section, even in
K, D.
section D, lots 43 through 45, do you see a 43 through 45 anywhere over here?
Well, in section D, we do see 48 and 41.
But we don't have 43 through
But
45.
but the original deed
That's the
doesn't say
unlabeled
section
area
D, it
right
says
there.
the
Yeah.
line.
Probably
Here's
be it,
here's
right?
43
Yeah, I'm going
through
with that.
45, but
I
that's
don't know,
not
it's
in
Probably over
D.
here somewhere.
I found a
Probably
40,
here that did
40,
photograph, there's no
right here,
numbers on
Yeah,
it.
some of this is
45,
all
right
blotted
below
out.
D.
Some of them blotted out.
45,
We'd have to find the original,
There's D.
it's not a
Wait,
Mylar,
okay,
or whatever
here.
that
Oh, no,
blue
it's
stuff was.
33,
So you see, the
35
essence of the
through
problem in
30.
this case is,
33.
This is the Pines, we're
33 is-
Thinking that probably would
42,
have.
that one over here.
this is D, but is D all of this, or is D just a narrow strip? Which is it?
43, 44, 45.
No, I think it's all of it.
Subdivision
I'd
the
say all
pines.
this is D.
The subdivision of the pines,
Wouldn't
this
you?
is all
Yeah.
pretty much
And this
piney.
here
This
is
all
K.
piney.
Was that D 40?
With the
Pines
road
is- Pines
starts.
has nothing to do with it. This is the Pines, this is Chestnut
You
Slope.
said D 43 through 45?
Here they,
No, that's
yes,
what Patty said.
D
We're
43 to
just trying-
45, I couldn't find it.
Right,
They're blank spaces.
I know, and if you,
Over
it's
there
like 1,
somewhere.
2, 3 there or whatever, and you're like, oh, that should be it, but they're not labeled.
It should
And you
be,
can't say that it is them.
it
But
should be
Now that's
43,
it, so you're
44,
right, there are lots
45.
that have no number on them
Yeah.
at all. There are a whole
Maybe-
bunch of them.
Maybe
I
on
don't
that.
understand
blue
how
Wow.
they
pine
couldn't
Oh, yeah,
just
these in
follow
here.
Is-
file a
does
plot
it
that
have-
didn't
does
have a
the town
number
have that?
on it.
Well-
We have that blue canvas.
I don't know if these are on a canvas, that's generally what I see for all, I can go right across the hall and see if there's any.
You'll see actually in this area, there's a lot that don't
Why
have
these
a
are in
number.
there on
Those
the
are in the,
bunch.
those are in the hundreds though, right?
I mean, 'cause
No.
if you're looking at
We don't
this,
know what they
there's
are.
a number here that's not made out all the way.
65, and then this is a
So we know those are
99,
those
this
right
is
there. What other
100,
sections
101, so you're right, right in between
So like, well,
1, 2.
and if
This
you
whole
look
gap,
over this, there was
41,
like a strip of something that went over it that stopped her from getting
Well,
copied, so it might just be as simple
Yeah,
as
some of the stuff doesn't
see
hold
it.
this off from under your foot.
Because
was
it's
never
taken,
designated.
it's like for all of these, see that, all of
Every
You
them?
know
lot
what?
created, I believe, is
It
drawn.
could be,
Okay, so the fob doesn't unlock that one unless we're open.
Oh,
That's okay.
But I could get a key from
now
someone.
see, look, none of these
There was-
lots
there was-
have
I
I
was
was thinking
numbers
that
on
whatever
them
was
right
over
here.
this, like
41
covered
to
up
Okay.
on something like that. or
So you can,
pulled off
you
of
can
it.
get
Yeah.
access.
I
to
don't even
that.
know if
And
we
the
have this
pines.
on the blue, is what I'm saying.
Nice.
It's
Yeah,
like,
on
I have like
102.
old
That should be
cemetery
right here.
plots, sewer plots, and some like
Don't
sections
imagine
of
anything that
town
isn't there.
Well, I'm
that
just
are
saying
on
that
this
I'm seeing
blue
the gap.
canvas.
The numbers
It's
don't even
blue,
always
and
go
then it's all the
sequentially.
stuff
Sometimes
is
they
in
jump
white,
around.
like they scratched out
Especially up on the
everything.
mountaintops.
So you don't
Like,
even
like
know
the
whether
old
it's
card,
where
I don't
it
even
is.
know what that
Sequentially,
is
but
in
suddenly
there,
it's
that's what
over
I'm
here,
saying,
and
it
it
could be, Because there's a section
How
of
many
town
are
that's
there
in
that
Carville,
are there?
Huh?
We can,
and they
how
all look
many are
like this.
there
They all
that
look
we
like
could not
little,
identify?
Yeah,
Well,
I looked at
and they
my,
don't look like this at
I
all.
looked at my old
In the
Carnival one
Pines
before, and I was
section,
like
where
10 lots
the
on it, on
deed
a quarter
says
of an
the
acre, like,
Pines,
okay.
I couldn't find 41 through 48.
Yeah, so I can look and see
And
if
I
I'm gonna
couldn't
write,
find 91
Homework
through
assignment number
102.
two.
I know the Boy Scouts have a plot in here. I walked to it once.
Which one?
91
91 was
to
15.
102.
80,
And that would
89.
be not long ago.
Okay, so there's 90,
Well,
where's,
there's 90, but
A long time
what comes
ago.
after 90?
she's
91,
gonna,
where's
she's doing
91?
minutes.
There's a
so
90.
they all
And then we go
like,
right to
she's
one
gonna
of those
be
to
yelling at me
103.
tomorrow.
Right,
so
but
it's
there's all the-
91 to
Do minutes on
102.
I don't take the minutes, somebody's on mine doing
Okay,
it.
so that's what, that's,
So it's-
that's 7, that's 8 plus
She should
12,
just
that's
say
20 right there.
discussion.
Yeah.
Fine.
Gail,
Yeah.
if you listen, just say
Just a
discussion.
discussion.
Someone's doing the minutes on
Yeah.
mine.
She's
Have fun
doing
with those
minutes.
Oh,
Oh, I don't think you need
okay, so
to.
those don't exist.
You don't need to write
Okay.
all this verbatim, it'd be
Right.
crazy to read.
Okay, what else, what other ones, David?
David, what else could you find? If you
Okay,
can't
so
find
you already
anything.
heard 91 to
Discussion.
No, but
102.
are you gonna put,
Then there's-
Discussion
are we-
Then
pertaining to
there's
the
these other
uncommunity
smaller sections which are labeled B,
Incline
C,
Railroad and
D, and so
Development
on.
Company.
Some of these,
The
like B
map
is on,
from
and C and E are only 3 lots
1910.
each, they're small.
Reviewing the section of the
I
pines.
think-
But there's a
Pines.
Way over there,
K,
of course.
a section K,
And section K.
Right here.
which is here, this is section K, and I found most of the K lots,
Okay,
but I couldn't find 28 through 33.
28.
Later on, someone with a horse said, listen, I want this piece of property, can you take it off? And the
is
town
that a
swapped
21 or a 28?
the land for a horse,
That's
I
a
don't know.
21, 22, right, and then they-
Was it a nice, what type, was it a Morgan? That's
You know,
where
they
it
need
don't
is.
to
have
plow
any
the roads,
So
that's
you
how they
could
did
say-
it.
Well, this
They
is
get
right
trucks,
here.
they got
What are
horses.
these? What are these ones with the
Right,
blank?
that's where we're all
26,
thinking, but we don't have any evidence.
I mean, I'm
The
just-
cartographer, or whatever,
It's
is
not
it? Just
What about that whole
Yeah,
section?
there,
I mean,
so-
What about that whole section?
Oh, you know
That's
what
might
that
be the
is?
missing
There
ones.
is
Who
water
knows?
in there.
so what else is
That's a
there?
big
Oh, these
You
guys?
just see if you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Was it
there's
way
no,
back
there's
then
nothing.
too?
No.
What's that say?
And they're dashed, why are they dashed lines instead of?
Oh,
Are they
Exactly.
future, or they, you know?
Um,
Tenth of their-
lots,
That's huge.
also in section K, lots 35 and 36.
35 and 36 in K.
Yeah, couldn't find them.
Okay, okay, you did a good job, that's okay, let's go on.
There's
Let's
nothing-
go
Well,
on.
if you
didn't find them,
Right, 'cause there's
I
34.
was just gonna say, if you didn't find a
Well, I
winner.
was looking at a tiny
a
little
beach.
map,
I
so
know,
I was
but
hoping
we
a
got
people
bigger
live
plot would
here.
be.
Yep.
They're not on here.
So maybe it was supposed to be there, but who knows? Mystery.
Yeah.
Maybe it's under the water.
Well, that's
You
underwater.
know?
Why was
Yeah.
it,
What is 4.5,
I'm sure
5
these
and a
down
half,
here are
11 and a
water
half?
areas.
Like these, 5
I
and a
think those
half,
are
4 and a
feet.
half.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of,
They
you'll have a
subdivide
4 and a
them?
4.5 and a 5 and a 5.5, and a lot of those are listed in the deed and were found.
Oh, yeah,
weird.
just see five
Is it
and a half,
necessary that we find them,
4.5.
if they're on the original deed, do we have to?
I think,
find them?
I think
So-
we do
You
if we're
put
gonna
that
call
for,
it
no, is this the
conservation.
number of the
We
lot
have to
right
know where-
here?
So we
what
just
needs
have to
be-
have a map
There's
to
C
do.
and D
What is
here?
that, the-
Yeah, that's, this is 75, so this must be
Well, right now, if
75.
we go off that,
Four,
then
see?
conservation land is
This
all.
is
not
starting
No.
from this deed trying to go
The
forward.
numbers don't
Yeah,
make
there's
sense
only
Maybe
one
at
we'll
deed,
all.
find
right,
some of
yeah.
the stuff doing paper traces going
Okay.
back.
The
We might
numbers
be able
don't
to
make
start
sense
with
at
the
all.
No, I don't either.
current existing lot,
No.
look at its last book and page number. Unfortunately, our town system may only go back 1 or 2 references, so that may require going online and searching back sequentially page and book and page numbers until you get back
Which is kind of fun to do.
to this.
Well, David, I'm aware that we have people that live on some of these lots and we've actually plotted along here, whereas our conservation land and that. But have we had anybody come in and wanna buy some of the stuff here that's on the, I mean, I remember one time, again, it
No.
was somebody in
Not
the
for a
middle
long
of here
time.
had deeded it to the church and then it ended up.
Oh, we got those, Bishop,
I know,
the Bishop of Manchester,
yeah,
we've got
right.
those deeds.
And
We
then-
got
But I'm
the-
just wondering if there's been any,
Well, basically,
We've had
So we
some,
got the TARs.
We've had
The
some
TAR came
lately.
to us from up there.
there will be others we can fill in. I'm just starting with the biggest one
Right,
first.
right.
There will be, like, when I looked at this, and then I went and I clicked on everything yellow, every single one in the town GIS to make sure it was privately owned or not. And in going through that process, I found all of these that were transferred over the years to the Conservation Commission, okay? With hours of work, but that's
Yeah,
what
right.
it takes.
but I guess what I'm saying is there's no, record that the town purchased this whole area. I think it was in the early 60s.
Well, that's what we're resolving now.
Yeah.
That's
We're
the whole point of
resolving
this.
now, right, but what
So-
I'm wondering
for
if at some
everything-
point after doing all this, say we go through all this work.
Everything I'm showing you that's highlighted, we now have a record of.
Right.
We know with the book and page
Right.
number for it, okay?
Right.
The question is, how do we complete this to fill them all in?
Or do we go, after all this exhaustive research, do we go to a lawyer and say, okay, now what do? We can't
You
find.
know what, this has been kicked down the road for how many years, how many decades? Let's just do it and stop making excuses for
No,
not
okay,
doing
I
it.
just wondered if we,
I'm not worrying about what might happen, let's
Okay.
tackle the problem and work our way through it.
okay. Okay,
So I just got, my homework assignment just got canceled, right?
Yeah, I'll look for the paper road committee
Nice job.
report.
Great.
I'm looking for the blue canvas plan.
If you find it, I'd sit and look at that and
Yeah, I
try to
would
fill
too.
in.
Okay.
Or just throw it on.
I'll bring it
back
If you
if I
have
have
that, you can call me. We'll come in and
With one eye.
put it down and fill in the spaces if they're not very blank spaces.
We should find evidence of the paper roads committee, the notes that we submitted. We had minutes.
it has to be in our minutes.
I know.
I'm sure it's filed somewhere. That's not, I don't have it.
Joanne might know.
Right, so these,
Because she
all
was
of
on the,
these
I
would be
know she was on
paper
a committee, but it
road.
was a selectman
I think the
subcommittee,
only
so
ones they didn't
I
get rid
believe
of
it would be in the
were the ones that were-
selectman's office.
They're not paper roads.
Well-
There
they're
was a
like
selectman
class
on
six
it.
roads.
So I started with
Well,
that
for
local
records, they
deed,
hold it.
and then I did a second one,
Is it
which was
Albertson?
called Levesque was the name on the deed.
Levesque.
Levesque, I'm sorry.
Now let's
Yes.
get your French.
Wow, I don't know French at all.
Oh,
All right, so the Levesque deed is interesting, and that had another 21 lots being transferred. And I didn't find all of them. I found like maybe 13 of the 21. But the interesting thing is when you read that deed,
it's not a
the Levesque deed, transferring his lots to the town, but when you read the deed, the town had previously owned them and transferred them to him. And he's
That was
returning
fa-
them back.
Like Patty said, he had traded a horse.
Yeah, they needed the roads plowed, and
horse,
so they
too.
got a horse and gave it back, so they have the horse to do the DPW.
I don't, somehow.
Stuff happens, right? Stuff happens.
I'm going with that.
Somehow
Some
I don't
politics,
think they were
yeah.
plowing with horses in the 1970s.
Might have been, I won't
That's
know.
that. But that, it's little
Well,
details
100
like
years
that that'll
from now,
make
when
it
people
interesting.
look back and see that we traded a lot for putting a tower, they'll
I'm
laugh.
sure
They'll
they
laugh.
traded stuff to get stuff for the town. You have this, we'll give you this section of land. Right.
Yeah.
Back in the early 1900s, sure.
That was, they didn't do that in the 1900s.
Yeah.
The tower was like
Yes.
in the 60s, wasn't it?
So, when did the person first take the land from the town, David?
Huh?
Did you find that when they took the land from the town, the Levesque?
Levesque's land.
I didn't go look up that deed,
That deed,
because
yeah.
I don't really care. I care about the one where
That's
it's
true.
coming
That,
back
it's like
to
an
the
easy
town.
rabbit hole to go down.
It's not, we don't have to resolve every potential question, just the ones that matter.
I get you.
I go with that.
So on the
Rabbit hole
Levesque
kickers.
transfer,
Yep.
the ones I
Okay.
couldn't find were in, this one didn't say anything about sections, so I'm assuming it's, if they don't mention section, they're usually the mountaintop. So lot 451. Now,
Isn't that the one you had four
Could be
copies
anywhere,
of?
he said.
I feel like I need a
What's
bingo.
451 over there?
no,
That was-
these numbers, and these numbers mean nothing, these are the current
Yeah,
numbers,
the
okay? These are the current town
Summit,
GIS
Summit.
numbers.
So
Half
we're looking
lot.
for 451?
But what number was it that we repeated?
I don't see it.
Over there.
4068.
I mean, they're
All
close.
these
Four-
are
oh,
40.
four-
I think it's this one.
455,
40 Lock Street.
4,
Oh,
3, 2.
okay.
Is that the
Under the
original?
current
system?
But
It was always
everything else
there.
I'm talking about is
It might not have been that.
Which is-
453
That's-
to,
it's-
It must be, but who knows?
well, sure, because it's
It's,
here.
What
yeah,
about the
I-
ones that
I-
were
like
sold?
obviously,
There's no
I was
logo on
working
them.
with a photocopy of
Two.
Yeah, what
this,
is sold mean?
and it's
So-
kind of
So
hard to read
David,
even in the big,
The ones that were
David?
sold.
yeah.
we have a big row here, starting with 456 on down to 452, and then the next lot over is empty.
And it says sold.
Nothing on it, it's
Yeah.
just sold. But that looks like that would have been the 451.
And I'm wondering,
See,
if whoever did the deed
That's
makes
what happens when you make
mistakes.
a map and you don't wanna like do all the work for it,
And
you
then-
assume
but-
everyone
but
else
that's
will
the
fill in the
problem. It
gaps in
looks
the
like it-
future.
But there's no proof,
Yeah,
so.
But four, I can't read all
easier.
those, but 452.
I'm going with that one, was probably
That's
four
easier.
fifty.
Yeah, but we can't go with.
452.
No, I know,
That's
I
all,
know.
yeah.
That's the problem. I wish we
So,
could.
a question
This is
like,
just
because I think this is gonna be a lot for this board. But like, what about getting like an intern that's going in college, that's going for some sort of degree that involves them having to do land use research and just seeing if they wanna come in?
Great, if you can come up with one, wonderful, but in the meantime, let's keep working on this and not kick the can down the road. Because this is the same thing I've heard for 20 years.
Yeah, I
We'll
just
get
think you gotta,
somebody-
use-
we'll get
or even put
somebody.
money in the,
I'll
again,
put,
the
I'll put
budget.
some feelers.
But
You
we
look-
never
you-
get anybody,
That's
it
your-
never gets
that's your
resolved.
assignment.
And
I'm not
even
gonna
the
get a high
people were
school
hired,
graduate,
they
it's
didn't
terrible.
finish the job. So enough already, let's just
Okay.
do it.
So who's,
So give us a homework assignment,
who's lots?
a specific assignment.
Okay, how about for some of these missing lot numbers that we can't find on here, we can give those, everybody
Divvy
has
them
the
up.
small copies and you can read them from the small copies with a magnifying glass if necessary, that's
Yeah,
what I
uh-huh.
use. So
Okay.
I can assign to small blocks of those to
Okay.
different people, and what you can do is you can go on the current town GIS and look at what's there and start and see, do I have a book and page number from the previous owner?
Right.
And then you have to go online with the registrar,
Yep.
when you can do it from home, and go look up that book and page number, and that should refer you back to the previous.
Okay, pardon my ignorance, but start me at the beginning. When I'm looking up a book and page number, what am I typing into my computer?
So if you go to the
There's
Hillsborough
a,
County.
you go to the Hillsborough
Yeah.
County
Right, we're gonna start.
Registry
Okay.
of
Why don't we
Deeds
all write this
website.
down? Is
Hillsborough County,
that what we're gonna do?
Well,
I don't know how
I,
to do
I
this.
will, I will do one better, I will look up the actual links and everything.
Yes, that's what we
And
need.
send it to everybody.
That'd
Okay,
be great,
because-
David, thank you.
I believe you
Yeah.
that I could
Mhm.
do
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but I don't even have a
I
clue where to
understand.
start, right?
And when you go on it, I haven't logged onto it for a while, but let me tell you, the Hillsborough County Registrar Online is,
The interface was not the best.
they have like this really old app.
And I do request that if you do everyone, that you blind copy, because under the right to know, if you
Right.
do an email and everyone's getting it, it's considered a public meeting.
So you're saying, say it
Like
again.
emailing, like if you're emailing,
If he's emailing me,
Well, I was just
That's
gonna
fine.
send a list to
Wait, if you
her.
send to everybody.
yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
send, you
But
know,
then you're saying
anybody else
blind
who
copy
signs
what?
up, I'll send.
Like
them.
if you're, they can't
I'll
all
do
be like
something. I don't care
listed
what you
on,
give
it can't be like a conversation amongst 4 of you.
No, it won't
Yeah,
be.
okay,
It won't be, it'll be,
Just to me,
yeah.
and
yeah,
then separate
Jane, you
email.
said you wanted to do
Yeah,
this
and-
lot, here's where you go to find the information.
Okay,
And here's the
Take
lot
that.
numbers, and so on.
Okay.
This looks nice.
what you got?
I think that's the website.
Oh, that's it. I like the mold.
Yeah, so they have
Hillsborough County, New
interfaces
Hampshire.
to, well, how many interfaces do they have now? They used to have 2
It's
applications.
nhdeeds.org,
Hmm?
but if you just
Not
Google
just me.
.org
nhdeeds.org.
Slash.
/Hillsborough -county-home.
David's gonna send it to you.
But
And
if you
then-
just Google the
And the
Hillsborough,
thing is,
deeds.
if you
it's the first link.
look
And
up a
then-
deed, you can look up any deed and read it online.
Mhm.
If you want a copy, then they charge an arm and a leg.
Search. click here,
All,
search.
what I do is I just bring it up in my screen, copy the
Is
screen,
that what it is?
Sure.
yes, screen print,
Mm,
rather than pay them $2 per page.
right, no,
You imagine a 20-page document, how that adds up?
Self-registry.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
It's crazy, and they do the same thing to the town too.
Search user.
okay, so that's where you go,
Search.
really?
Yes.
So if I'm looking up, so what's the next step?
I'm trying to get there. I'm not sure. I've never
I-
done
I
the
will-
website.
I will
David's
go,
gonna do
I
this
will
one,
go
yeah.
through the whole thing.
Okay.
I will send you the links, the steps you need to take,
Okay,
and the list
And once I
those
get
lot
going, I'll
numbers.
be fine, but I just.
Right.
Just
don't
tell me
know.
how many lots you want to attempt to resolve.
Well,
In the
Wait
one
a
section.
Want
minute,
five,
what was
you
the
want
deed,
10,
what was the
you want-
total? 400 and, what was the total lots on that Vogel deed?
447.
457, I've gotten most of them,
Okay.
but I.
There's
I didn't
100
add
Okay,
up.
well, I'll do some.
All right,
I
so
don't
you have
know
most
if
of
there
them.
were 80 or whatever.
Who else is gonna do
We'll
some?
have a tea party.
No, we gotta do this by
we have
yourself.
to do
That's
it,
what I
but
think.
we'll all have to
Everybody-
bring our laptops.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so just give me some.
Oh, and we'll invite Patty.
Yeah, just give me some.
Okay, well,
Just assign some. We'll-
Okay,
How-
20 minutes tea.
how many people want to do it?
Oh,
That's one,
I
two,
volunteer.
three,
I guess we're all gonna,
5, 6,
Anything is
7.
operating.
we're six.
and I'll just divide it up equally
Okay,
and send the list to everybody.
okay,
How's that?
yeah,
Rather than try to figure it all out right now.
okay, good, so that's one job done.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we resolve those 457, we're off to a heck of a good start.
1978.
And
Mhm.
then I'll try to find, and again, I had that one other old deed, which only had a few. I'll just take those on, trying to find them.
So there's 100.
And then from that point, we'll have much of this colored in. And whatever's left, then we'll probably have to go the reverse order, the way we're doing for these missing ones. To start with, well, here's what this lot is now, according to the town. Here's the last looking page reference. Let's follow that trail back.
And he might actually have on the old, these old index cards, like, he might even have a reference to the lot number.
So you have, are you saying,
Do you want me to get one?
is this?
Give me one, I'll go
You
grab a
you
file.
want, you
That
want
one
her,
I
she has
can
the
get
old
into.
index cards?
Would we
That'd
be
be
able
great.
to come in and go down this trail from records in the town hall as opposed to logging on to the?
Some of it you probably can. Let me, I have a different page. Oh, they're gonna just
So
log us
Patty,
coming in.
what is it you're gonna go look for?
I want you to give me a lot number.
She wants a lot number.
Well, all right, so these don't match anyway. Do you know which one of these that matches our current lot number? I'm gonna go get a file and see how far it goes back.
My current lot number. Well, so
Okay.
why don't we, how about this big mystery 4068, see what you can find, because that would solve them.
4068?
See how all these are labeled 4068, every single
Okay,
one of these?
I'm gonna go up and grab it.
She's gonna go at 46.
That really is a single lot, and we can
I just want to see how
consolidate
far
a
back
single
it
lot, and we
goes.
can trace that record back, well, we knock out 13 in one blow, that would be awesome.
13 out of 100.
I mean, if we each do 20, it won't be that bad.
Yeah, I think it'll be less than 20.
Oh, really?
And that'll be the first pass, and then there'll be more gaps to fill in, but like a lot of the stuff that's colored in, we already have the references for those. We'll
I
have to look 'em up.
believe, unless something has changed, there are some lots in the middle of all of this that are still owned by someone.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to figure out, right?
Yeah, that's clearly indicated on here.
Right.
This is from the town GIS.
And does it say who owns?
If they're
You can
yellow,
find it on there.
I clicked on every single one and found the owner for every single one.
Okay,
And the ones that are colored with a highlighter are ones that were privately owned and have
Okay.
subsequently come to the town. The latest one was just last year,
Yeah.
what was it, just a few months ago, we
Yeah.
received this one, remember?
so may I
Just
look
keep
at
them
that?
Everything that's yellow is privately owned, verified, don't need to worry about it. Don't need to worry about the people who currently own lots. We know that, we have their records.
We just can't eliminate,
We just have to
Roads.
verify that the ones we think are conservation land really were,
okay.
have a solid paper trail that we could prove if we had to go to court and say, this is conservation land, here's the deed where it was transferred. If you can't prove that, you can't do the
Right.
stewardship.
Right.
Patty just walked in.
40.
All right, so 4068 does not have a deed in here. And goes, this is the size 60 by 90, lot 519. I don't know what that is.
5.
That's on the old map. On the back. So I grabbed a couple of, I will be on the
Nice, look at that, pretty close.
So this is like the beginning. And from the assessing.
519
I
is
believe
right
that
at
actually.
I see it
right
right
at
here.
the same spot.
Does 519 give you something? What,
Well, so here's the interesting thing.
is there lot 519 actually?
Here's the interesting thing,
Right.
Patty, is that all of those, where did I take it? Now, where's the other one? I need that back for a second.
That's very close to, where that is, 4068.
Here's 519 right here,
So all these 4068s, which are
middle of nowhere.
kind of going
This
up
is-
here
this is
along this
trail.
Grandview Road,
Yep.
Summit
all of this.
Road, Ave is where
This
the
was
railroad.
all
Is that where the
both
trail
roads.
That was the railroad.
Isn't that inclined?
So
Oh.
these are
Oh,
probably
yeah.
fine,
That's
it's
the
just.
So it's just the
Summer
trail.
Road, that's the trail.
When you wanna go into town
So
GIS,
if this one is
you
private,
click on any one of these lots in town GIS, it comes up with unknown, data, no data.
that's,
Really?
that's
Like,
quote, even
what-
though that road just.
Well, how does this
Sorry,
map
so
get
now
the
this is
generation?
the current, it doesn't
Nobody
give
wants
you.
to press it.
Walk
Yep,
access,
yes.
the lot.
No,
It's
pretty
not.
common.
It's like the
I
record
think
there.
we did paper road.
It says Mountain Lot
So many
519,
Not 'cause I did it.
1968 town.
I know,
So I don't know what, something with 519.
So
People
this
know
one
who
is
owns
privately
the
owned.
Mountain Lot
Straight
519.
down.
Yeah,
Go to the website.
Everything's sold
Well,
scattered.
you say now.
So we called him.
I realized it when I came up here.
And he said he'd get back to me this week, and he hadn't, and I'll have to talk to him. But it's about, we just found out
Trail.
Now, this one goes lot 1, section
my
C.
mother's
Yeah, it's,
uncle,
Lot one's
and
like
it has
this.
now been
For
dated
40,
over
So the
the
paper
years.
roads.
and you'll find a bunch
It
of
was a
maps.
zoo.
Bought
Yeah,
it
see, these are,
southwest.
so you're saying
Our-
that's
our
our
property is
lot
very
on
straightforward.
GIS?
Yes,
In
well,
Texas,
plot.
and their oil
Square.
wells on
only,
them.
see this little tiny
And my
one?
No one had
son
ever
said,
surveyed
Mom,
Oh,
you
yeah.
not
Oh,
want
the other
that
thing
one
finds,
back
like, nice
because
plays
there's
is
lithium
4068.
in that
And a
area.
lot of.
I don't know, we had to actually have
Yeah.
someone.
No.
survey.
See,
Isn't there a section that they just
Two
logged?
pages, it's in
Oh,
two
that's
different
good.
towns.
A couple years ago?
So it's the mineral
So
rights.
all these
But the
shapes
single
are in the
space
town. We can't do
goes
that.
all the
We
way
don't
down.
play it.
This is a
And
conservation.
Jim
It's
said,
off the
nothing
map.
necessarily
Yes.
said, I want it down there,
If
water,
you
I
click
need
on
to
this
get a
little
lawyer
one,
down
it
there to
says-
have.
And they logged it off
So
of,
like Jason,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you did
That's not what they hold it under.
They're not what?
No,
The
no,
Osage,
this is
see,
from
the
Jason.
Indians.
It's like this one's
Jason.
going
Well, I
after all
looked,
that section C.
Which
makes me think
and said, I
That's what
think
we are.
some
We're
of it
the
could have been
I think
in
this relates
reservation
to
land.
something like you're talking
Was it
about.
the
Yeah, it was
I
section
don't know.
C.
So do you have a
was
section
just
C
quick.
on one of
But I
these?
also
No, we have a
think-
section D.
There's only 1, 2, 3.
Section C,
No,
do you see a section C anyplace?
Yes.
This one does have.
It's only one, lots 1, 2,
One.
3, section C.
This is not.
You were off those.
C.
One lot.
So, and then there's an empty lot right there that has nothing on it.
On section
You
C.
can have it.
So I wonder if that's.
Go put a flag on it.
Okay, there you go.
That's right.
So,
know that all these streets are only
Okay.
Which is so crazy.
Because it was an inhabited.
We just got, so she's
It
just
wasn't-
hanging out. She's a
these
year
were
old.
never
She's a
intended.
year old.
but they were never,
We have.
They were never laid out to be.
Not for like vehicles.
no, 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 no.
How many
No,
vehicles
no,
were
no.
there?
That's true.
They're walking paths. They were, they really, the cog rail went up there and they
rode the
stopped and
trolley,
people would get out.
So we
Took
found
your
one
basket, your
that's not
picnic
on there, that's
basket,
69
and you
right
went
there.
to your little
Your
plot.
husband out in the
And that
garden.
makes sense.
Or
but
you
the same one.
tent and stayed overnight.
So when
You
this
guys
one.
Jane,
never been.
hiking up in here though, I have occasionally found a little,
There's some
you know, it was a wooden structure that was there, a very little, like almost a
Tent
country,
platform.
something, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh,
That was
that's
it.
nice. A lot of
Yeah,
people
no, they
ride
just came up the
through there.
cog and you were just supposed to
If they
hike
stop
in
and chat,
with your picnic stuff.
Right, where you rode the trolley.
We're looking at
What a
the maps.
bizarre
There's
concept. There's just so much land, why
So
would
does
you,
that match that little?
you know, if there, if everybody was here at the same time, it'd be miserable.
It was an inexpensive
Yeah, Shirley Park.
way for
But I
people
lived
to
at Mountain Base.
recreate, to get out of the stinky city.
That's
But, and the Stinky City was
Lot
awesome.
number-
They were coming up, this was the first recreational, you know, tourist area
Yeah,
before
because-
they got further up in the
Because
White
they used that
Mountains.
hill
This
for
was
skiing
really-
too.
Right.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
You know, it's interesting to read
There's ski
about,
trails.
I know.
yeah,
If
oh,
you
yeah.
look really carefully, you can see.
So that,
On
at least I know
south.
that. These
When
are-
when we first moved to
It was on
Youngstown, who's the
the,
fellow who lived next?
Mhm.
Let me double check something, maybe one of these things.
Just write that down, so.
Yeah.
Gove. Doug Gove.
Okay, which one did you have to see? We found
He
that
wrote
too.
the histories
So we're
of
matching-
Goffstown. He's
fireworks.
He's gone now.
But he wrote all
So on
about.
these brown cards,
Historical Society should have
Yeah,
those.
right.
I went to the library. and
there's a
read the,
reference, like
Gibbs
this one
Double
says
Cover.
lot
Cover.
2,
It's pretty
section
good,
B.
like,
Section B,
quick read.
So you,
Not
so you look
lately.
at lot
They're
2,
supposed to-
section B,
So,
Yeah.
you
Lot
gotta
two,
roll.
section
should match,
Oh, yeah.
I never go.
the GIS should match this, and that,
So what do you
some
do?
of them we are finding.
It's a-
Oh, you are.
Say it is now.
She's finding them.
4067.
Which ones? From
The ones
Mount
down
I
Basin?
mean, I just
Yeah.
grabbed around this.
So Tom
The
says we gotta
68.
find out, because we gotta make a
Thinking they might
donation,
Yeah.
because we enjoy them so much. We don't have to go see Manchester.
I'm not sure who's doing that this year.
Is the number on there?
We figured out,
Lot B,
well,
no, lot
Who's
B,
done it?
section
ask
B,
your brother,
two,
ask your brother.
yeah, we
Hmm.
set
So
that
now
up.
you know.
Oh, the Isles of Shoals.
46, well, but they showed
Um,
246.
He would
A
know.
neighbor of mine found.
And it says on the corner of Summit Ave and Beach
Used-
Lane.
Is it a
on
child?
Hempstead.
Dog?
Store,
Yeah.
antique
I
store.
don't know them.
You don't
It was
know
a
that. Okay, so
And
they're.
the
memoir
one next to
from-
it's also called.
Yeah, I moved it.
Way,
I moved
oh,
out of there
Baxter's
20,
mother and
30
father,
something years ago.
way, way back.
Okay, yeah, that's, and
Someone
if you
was
look at the
doing
map,
this
that's
like,
on this
you know,
page,
there's
they
a whole
have
Give
from
them
Seward
that
Beach
property.
Lane.
And how people use things. I mean,
It does, it says
actually
it
Thomas
says
Lady,
85
the
by
boat
80.
that takes you out there now, it's a
Size
ferry, it's called
85 by
Thomas
80.
Lady. He couldn't stand the politics on land, so he went out and he
see over
became
here,
the lighthouse
Beach Lane,
keeper for
says-
13 years and had a wife
So
and
these
3
might be
kids on
good,
that island,
because
that was it, and if you've ever been out there, it is just
I've been there.
okay.
Very small.
Yeah, and then he then moved over at some point to Appledore
Yeah.
and built
Right,
a
and then
hotel
they
there,
were
and then
accessing-
Star
I just
Island
grabbed-
came in, but
see,
again, we're
like,
talking about.
This
the-
helps
we
too,
ride
so the
those
ones
sides
that
on
say
it.
town,
Yeah.
any town property
No,
has
but my
this
wife
on it
does.
too.
Jim Shirley does.
Which island is that? Had Celia Baxter's house on.
That was on Appledore, and which is
Group
now
that I ride with,
UNH
that's
and Cornell.
folks that have slowed down
Marine.
and
My father used to
transitioned
put us
e-bikes
ashore
and
there.
Oh,
it's a
We
game
go
changer.
fishing.
I mean, some people have really
Oh.
cool shit.
Short-term warning.
Like,
Run around.
the photocopies are black.
But it's,
Because it's an old.
so actually, I
one
should
with
get over the
wax
Historical
on it.
Society. I wonder if they have any
All right, so
information
this
about
one-
any of this, or, you know, it'd be kind of fun. There were
So
2
this is the
hotels
newer
up
one,
here.
and this one's saying 65.
You
It's
know,
not
one,
telling you
and then
the
it burned
number,
down, then there was a second
But it
one.
might be 40.
And what's amazing
My wife
is
just
it
bought
had
one.
a casino and a ballroom and a dining hall for that seated 200 people, and, you know, and 3 balconies, you know, yeah, well. Oh,
Well,
well,
that.
yep, very cool. But,
And
and then obviously, you know, you wonder if, although I think
Yeah.
they developed it all at one time, but it sure doesn't look like it was done all at one time, does it? Looks like they sat there and developed, planned some of it, and then didn't stop.
And this looks like it was taken, this
The other
was
thing
taken
is
actually
too,
by
some of
Texas.
this has been developed, and I think it's this part, it's like straight
This
ledge.
was section B.
I think we were coming up, Mike and I were,
47, 46,
It's all-
46.
I think this is up towards the top,
I kept going, but
and
it
the
was like,
hotel,
I need to pull
this
out
is
the-
almost all ledge right
This is
here.
all ledge,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Oh, that is,
Yeah.
I used to love to ride.
Boy, that is too, I mean, the, well,
moved
the,
up
So
on the
this
hill.
was
well, these are
taken by
the, so
tax.
there's 4 houses.
Almost 40
They
years.
consolidated
I
lots.
just took a job. part-time
So,
job.
and you know what, it could be that it was
But they
never
So I get to try, I get to go.
unknown,
Yeah.
so they didn't know who
Well,
did
it
it,
drops off
probably
like
us.
Well, it drops off real
That's
steep because
why.
Spinelli's up there.
And so she
Yeah.
took
Coachman's
it
up
by,
there.
Okay.
they just
Right,
used it to
right,
town.
actually,
one of their
they're
rides is,
encroaching
So
a
this
little
would be
bit
the
on
examples
Buffalo.
of
Because
I know the
examples
Done
of
it
gas
twice
is
this
up
year,
there.
did the water, great waterfront.
And they said they can
tour,
see
which is
down,
Montreal,
and this is all just
Toronto,
kind of
just got back from
Yeah.
Hawaii,
Back.
It's very
year.
steep.
But there was one that
Cincinnati,
was the
Cleveland,
house
Then
that
we
the incline railway
and then they
stopped
just did,
at.
oh,
Yeah.
Virginia.
What's his name, Alan?
There's some, like,
Yeah,
there's
Alan.
some
Definitely.
ruins, maybe something around there.
Oh, well, no,
Yeah.
he lived
Yeah.
there.
They tore it down.
They tore it down, but when
Is
we
that where
had,
the concrete, like,
Yeah,
block is
because
at the top?
they
So there
had
could be other
kids
ones
there
that are
and they
deeded
go
this
right
way.
back road.
Yeah.
no, but they were just
A lot
letting it
of
go out
trails.
onto the ground.
So it sounds like.
Like rail, mostly rail.
And when we had
Yeah.
our surveyor,
No,
Joe
let's
Wisher,
talk, I mean, cause like.
he was crawling around up
whoever
here
is,
and
you
he
know,
crawled
there
into
for-
something wet. And
But I mean,
Right.
it's easy, like I just open
the
my
building
door.
inspector or
I
someone,
think that's when they showed up.
and then they said, you can't live here.
Because when Miles was doing his trail,
Anyone
I have a
can
house
come
there.
back
they had
and
a
forth.
dog that they would sick on the kids every time they went, anyway.
Yeah,
'cause the
and I'm
trail
sure I
came
had
out.
to
He's
explain what we're
nasty,
trying to
nasty
do, because
person.
Scott's already talked to you
Well,
about
when we used to go up there, we used to
I'll
trail,
come
we
in
used to
and
go
do
up
the
there.
first trial run
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
I mean, because the
They had to
dog.
But
send
they
a school
all
bus up to pick up
have,
those kids.
unless it got lost, but
You lived in
they
one of
all
those
have
houses?
this.
Oh, no.
He lived
We
in,
would go up.
Oh, when he
Before
lived
that,
there.
some
Yeah,
of
and
them
we
have
had, as
like
conservationists,
like
we'd be going up to check stuff out, and we had to
Yeah,
get
no,
police
before this,
officers.
there's some that have like these little white
Vicious
sheets of
dog.
paper.
Vicious
Sick
dog.
on, stinks terrible.
But that was the guy,
Where we were.
to get electricity into his little place, he climbed up the power line, and
This-
then
the
he
unknown
hooked
is
himself into
definitely
the power
Road
line
Mountain.
illegally,
What?
and yet the
Oh,
state, and they
B3.
had
It's
a
written here.
handicapped kid.
Because,
Yes.
my son has a
And it
friend.
was the
and
state
And
that
that's what you're
said,
pointing at,
they,
David.
the
Yes,
importance
that's
of we
what I
had to
figured
send
it
up
would
a
be.
school bus.
school
Yes.
bus up there to pick up this
The
kid.
town-
I don't know,
There
and this is
illegally.
Mary's
So the town
handwriting.
had to fix the road.
Yeah.
They were
This is Mary
I was on
LaValley.
school board when that
So-
happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, there you
Again,
go.
that number was
Like
40.
20,000, and
66.
it had to be handicapped van because the kid was anyway.
Yeah.
That's the history.
So I'm
Wild Valley
I'm gonna ask
Road
Scott
Trail.
about
That's dangerous.
if there's some old tax maps that they use.
But where's all
too,
the survey
because
and
She
Joe Witcher?
somehow knew this.
I don't
Unless
know.
she went
should
to,
be
she had a
right.
copy of the local
I think we
deed.
spent
A lot of
30 or
money.
She might have done some of this,
$40,000
but-
on that.
They all have.
And maybe we should
Okay.
ask here or get a hold of him. So we were trying to get this whole thing surveyed.
They all
and
have
then
a
we just
reference.
gave up.
I think what we've discovered over
He said
here
he couldn't
is
do it.
that
Well,
if
he
you
was in the
come
reserves and I
into
think
town
he had
hall,
to
that
go
they have other,
Right.
through
yet
a
another set
thing
of
or
data
something
in
and
these
then when he
folders
came
that
back.
are
He said no.
resolving some of this, because we just
Yeah,
found
but-
3.
Yeah, they're
I
writing
wonder if he's either.
Mountain
anything.
Lot
And actually,
B3, and
basically
you
what
go
he was
here
doing
to
though
the
was
Summit
he wasn't
one,
going
you'll
to
find
all these, he
B3.
was
Oh,
trying
so we
to
can
do
do
it
it in
out.
town
So have
as
you found,
opposed
you
to.
found
We were
all
just
those?
saying it out
Might be
loud.
able to do quite a bit of it in town.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Oh, so you're
But-
finding something?
But the stuff I will send would be things that maybe not necessarily in town.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna ask Scott, I'll leave this on my desk so I can ask him where this reference all. So all these have like that little mountain lot B3. And even the ones that we couldn't figure out what was there, we can match
Go
it
to
to
town
that,
hall.
and like
So
that
she
one
did
says
find a bunch right there.
lot
Oh,
B2, it's all
I
written on
think
the
it's
inside
easier
of the
to go
folder.
further.
And
So-
what happened to lot B2?
Some poor man that was already.
Was that part
He's
of
made
the,
notes on the inside of the folder.
It's,
part of Levesque or?
He's like, I hope this
it's,
helps one in
well,
the
some of
future.
them say unknown, one of them was tax deeded because no one was paying
Nobody
taxes,
paid taxes,
so
yeah.
they tax deeded it.
So
And like, it
that one
doesn't really
says
give me,
B2.
oh, and on the back here.
There gotta be a
it shows
lot of
you
these
where.
that people
Yeah,
have
it's
no
showing two
idea
lots.
that they even.
Two
own.
lots, so they
mean,
did the
that's-
town
And
consolidated.
then, well, they did own and then now they don't.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I'm
So, like,
saying,
this
well,
one
that's
got-
how the
this
church
got
ended up getting a bunch of
consolidated. So in
these,
the-
'cause they were
I wanna
deeded
say in
when
the
people
60s.
died, and then they, you know, so.
In the sixties, when they redid their tax mapping, they did this with Penarville too, everyone had small, like 3 tracts of land.
Yeah.
They consolidated all as one lot. So
I do
some
know
of
that.
these are like B, say 513, or 512 are now like one lot.
So how does this sound? As long as we get the blessing from town administration, I will come in and pay a visit and determine how much of this we can resolve here inside the town without having to screw around with going to the registry of deeds and all that before I send any homework assignments out.
I think that
And
sounds,
spare people
Because they all
unnecessary
have,
work if there's an easier way to do it.
like
Yeah.
here's, alright, so in this
Do you
one's
wanna,
like,
do you wanna
this is the one
divvy
by
up that
tax
work
deed.
for us too? So you don't have to do it all?
What we might, but I think an initial visit just to
He
see how
wants to
productive
start.
this is
You're
gonna
gonna do,
be,
okay.
might
and
be
then,
worth
and
the
then we
bother.
promise we won't.
And if I come in and it's like, oh, this is gonna work out after all.
this is not like you're walking home with the files, you're gonna be just here doing it, so I don't see
Yeah.
an issue with that, cause you're a town committee.
don't
And
see why
like
we
I said,
need to.
Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission works on roads, information, and stuff that we've done throughout the year, like after December, we'll get a call like March saying, hey, can we come in and go through your files, and we allow them to go through the files.
So I will come in and make sure that this is gonna be a fruitful path and do a bunch of them,
Okay.
and then divvy up the rest after that.
Sure.
For the homework assignment, and maybe we could make it faster and easier.
So the other question I have, Patty, is that I know we paid Joe Witcher
Yep.
thousands of dollars.
Wait, what is this? Oh, I know.
And there must be something from the work that he did, even if it never got finished.
I know.
So when I started helping you guys, it wasn't when he was doing,
No,
that
it
was when Jason Sachs was part of the commission too,
Maybe,
wasn't it?
I think it was
should we?
before that, I
even?
think.
It was
So,
before
I
that.
think it was
Yeah,
before
I
that.
started, when I started, it was Kimberly was
Joe
chairman.
Baker.
So
was
I don't,
before
No,
that.
before that.
Yeah.
You know what?
so I don't know where all that is. It was the select board's office that assisted conservation. And then,
I mean, the selectmen
I
paid him.
came in
The
like
selectmen
later.
paid Joe Witcher.
Okay, so,
Well,
Richard
it
or
was
Wicked?
prior to
What is it?
2003, because that's when I joined the commission.
so you want Jason's information, and we
No,
might have
no,
copies, like
just find out-
they could have, put this in your files.
Just where,
Did he, what did we get from
Joe.
Joe Wicker?
Okay,
from the survey.
Other than
surveying.
they
Yeah.
caught the Allens dumping sewage on them? No,
Yeah, I can figure out that.
I think it was Allen.
Worst case scenario, I'm calling Joe.
The guy who lived up in the trolley house?
So I think they're up.
No, no,
And this is, I can
No,
tell
up
you,
at the
this is
top. He
Maryland
lived in the
Valley.
little
I
house
could tell
that
her
was at the top of
handwriting,
the
so she
incline
went through something.
And had the raw sewage running
Who's
out
that?
underneath.
She was assessing secretary for a
Joe
long
Wicker,
time.
his name
Long
was
time.
Allen, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
But just in these
Oh, yeah.
folders, we trace
She's,
back.
she's
to the
writing
deed.
where,
Yeah.
she's
I
writing
walked
where
in
they
the
came
police
from,
station.
I
but,
stood
None
behind
of
the
those
police,
deeds
but
said to the Conservation Commission, so those would be ones we would.
Have to.
Related to Martin
We'll have, if
like
we
this
find
one,
them, yeah.
4066
Related
is
to-
saying
Yes.
Town of Goffstown
Jane,
Conservation.
related to
Ah,
Martin
I
Allen,
want to keep
like
my
the
house,
other Allen?
but the
No,
deed
I don't
said.
think so.
Some, a
No,
lot of them don't
no.
have, this
Tied
one
this German Shepherd up,
One of
right?
them didn't have it.
Right in the
Right
middle
on
of the
trail,
trail.
so you
This is
couldn't
what
walk,
she
you
did
got
this
up the
time.
incline, you could encounter his dog. It was vicious, actually. I heard him going to.
This is just deeded to the town,
Yeah,
Stood behind
and
it.
that's the
and
problem.
someone designated as conservation.
Yeah,
But
and-
it can't be just someone says it.
So-
Yeah,
Because
the
otherwise,
select board have to
So what
sign
you're
it.
saying is we've had two different transfers from the town to us, big ones here at the bottom.
yes.
But,
Right, and we need to clean the rest of that up and see if they have, the town has
Yeah, there might
lots.
be, and some of them will be multiple transfers, like, you know,
In,
half a
out,
dozen,
in,
10,
out.
whatever,
Right.
but.
so,
The horse is sold. it's,
which
you
we
know,
can talk to Derek
dies,
about
sells
too. So talking to Scott, I told him about that some are designated as just town of Goffstown, some are designated as conservation. And to consolidate, he says that would be a non-issue.
Mm,
It may be a non-issue for the town to consolidate the lots.
but not for us.
It's not a non-issue for having a paper trail, if anybody ever challenged it as being
Challenges
a
it.
conservation
So-
land that we had the stewardship of.
So,
We should get it done, is what they would say.
Yes. And secure it for the
so
future.
if some of them
Forever.
are just saying town of Goffstown, you want the select board to like do one huge deed similar and just deed it to conservation, town of Goffstown, and then consolidate?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's the ultimate goal.
And to consolidate, we
Because
do
then-
our own lot mergers, so.
Yeah, and then that'll clean everything up, that'll clean up everything for stewardship, for legal basis for doing the stewardship, and make everybody in town planning department's life a little easier to not have a million little lots to track.
Yeah.
Now, I know Scott asked me previously about like the land that we buy around PHL Marsh, specifically the
Why we didn't consolidate?
Sanborn, why we would, yeah, he said we should consolidate, I agree, we should consolidate it. At the time he asked, I didn't wanna do it, cause I knew we were gonna get more lots,
Okay,
and we did.
all right.
And
So-
so it'd be nice now to do all of them as one, rather than those
Patty,
five,
so-
we'll
do you send out
have all 9.
tax forms to a whole bunch of these little lots to people, do you know? Have
I
any
don't
idea?
believe now the tax maps are like all these little lots, like like this is showing two of them were combined together. On this, there were 2 lots, and now it's 1 lot in here.
But you're still sending out tax maps to different people.
Not if it's to the town.
No,
Tax
the
bills.
town, we don't
Oh,
bill.
the town, no, no, no,
town.
I know, the town, but still.
But if there's
okay.
someone owns it separately,
Not
they
that
get a
many
bill.
left.
And the unknown ones, I'm sure by now have been probably, anyone unknown has been deeded by now.
It's 'cause we've picked up a few every time tax bills go out.
Yeah, so now I think pretty much everyone's getting a bill, and of course not the town. But I know, because this was done, if there's any that have been missed, I mean, that will come back to the tax collector, and after, they start doing, so I imagine by now they have been deeded. And they might just say town of Goffstown,
There might be some that they're not sending a bill on,
because they don't know
because
the.
it's a blank spot on the map, they may not even know.
Well, did we find one that was 2 blank spots that we figured was one of the lots by this, right?
Yes,
So there
Oh.
might be actually a lot, it's just not shown on here.
Okay.
We kind of were matching up.
Mhm.
yeah, it's like every source of information has a little bit, but maybe not the complete picture, and you start pulling it together, and then it starts to make sense.
Okay. So then we wait to hear from you.
You wait to hear from me, we'll have this initial foray into the planning department and see how it goes, and then I think it's gotta be productive, and then I can divvy up the rest and say, okay. Somebody else
Okay.
can go in and resolve a few, but that way nobody will be shouldered with a huge pile of work.
Sure.
So our December 13th meeting, I don't have anything for you to see for ZBA. Our deadline for planning hasn't closed, but so, I don't know if anything's gonna be submitted. We know 2 big projects, but I don't think they're close to submitting. So you might be able to do another workshop.
Which might be a good thing.
Would be
Maybe, yeah.
You can report and maybe have a brief one, say this is the progress we've made, and this is where we are now.
Do you, do
Yeah.
you wanna do another workshop like on the 13th? If you could do
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that's
sure.
so.
As long as we're on a roll, I think. I mean, if we're not
It's
having a
agendas.
meeting, then we should just go ahead and, yeah.
I think I'm babysitting Vermont.
Gee.
Well, that's
Well, Susan, you
okay.
said you have a lot of stuff to bring in, we could look at then too? Or someone
It's
said you have
stack
a
of
lot.
documents, and I didn't pour through all of it, because it was a lot.
Okay.
The main things I
Susan's
looked
like-
at where you had this plot,
Right.
and this was like, hallelujah!
Yeah, and I had
Because
the
this was the
Vogel, I had the
actual
Vogel, the copies
Yeah,
of the
I
Vogel,
already
right,
had
that's,
that.
but you had that.
But you also
Yeah.
had the stuff about the paper road studies that
Oh,
were
the
being
paper
done.
road
I
thing.
had
And
a
you
map.
showed me
Yeah.
a map showing all the ones that were marked discontinued,
Right,
but they're still there.
right.
So that's
So
why the
Patty may
question
be able
is,
to
did
resolve
they
that.
really get?
Okay.
Yeah.
Two possibilities, either had they never officially got discontinued, or they were, and the GIS hasn't been updated. Either one is a
I think
possibility.
it's a second, because I think it was voted on by the selectmen
I
to
do
get rid of.
Some of them they were, and some of them they didn't,
They didn't.
no.
But we didn't landlock anybody, that's why it was so difficult, because all those little lots, we could not landlock them, we couldn't just continue a road that would
Yeah.
block their access to their lot, even though there was nothing on it.
Absolutely, but there's so
So,
many
right,
of them
there's
that
so
are
many, yeah.
definitely not a
Okay,
problem.
I will,
Tie a string on your finger.
I thought about tonight, but I was running late.
So
Yeah,
this,
I opted for dinner.
this
You know,
was,
David,
Nothing wrong with that.
there's some lots right here in front, next to Railroad Avenue, that, and across the street it says 1903 or Lot 34. That's all a swale of water. And I mean, they have them there, I'm just saying for
is that,
future
is
reference.
that what that is?
I know where that is,
The ones that don't have a number in them?
yes. I mean, I'm just look,
That may be a quick and easy resolution.
I
We'll
think
see if
it
it's
is.
in
I
the
mean,
GIS.
yeah.
Mm,
You know where I'm,
Yeah.
Susan, if you look at that,
It's down by the edge of the pond.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But somewhere down there too, Evelyn, there's a grocery store. Remember the old grocery store?
No, that's further
Oh, is it
over,
over?
past the, no, that's past the incline and up over in this area here where the beach is. The beach
Yeah, where
is
the
over
beach
here,
is.
yeah.
There was a
No, no,
grocery store.
this is just an inlet here and there's a road here with a, Susan, I used to take my horse down
No,
there all the time. And that is just a, you know, it's brush has grown in, but it's real wet,
Yeah,
so.
But that is now somewhere. I'm
Somebody
trying to
does have a
think.
drive
No,
that
no,
went
no.
across it though.
Yeah.
Somewhere, what is this road here? What, David? I don't have the phone map. What is this road here? Is this Worthley? Is this Worthley going up here from?
This
Yeah,
one, I
that's
think it
Worthley?
is.
Okay.
So there's a
thi-
pond right there.
Okay, from this
Yeah.
point, from Worthley
Where the
to
ducks are
here,
always swimming around.
that is, because I had to go talk to somebody, they were blockading the road. And Jim Shirley brought it to my
Ah.
attention. And he said this man is blocked the road because he didn't want the bikers going down there. It looks like his driveway, but it is.
It's not.
It's conservation land,
Right.
this Railroad Ave is conservation
Right.
land.
That's the old rail bed, then I take it.
That's the old rail bed, that's what it is.
On the trolley.
And so I had to go visit with this nice man, tell him he could no longer park his car there, and he could no longer put the rocks there and the trees, because Jim Shirley had talked to me about it, and I said, oh, I'll go down there and knock on his door and talk to him. I don't know his neighbor. But this is his driveway.
Yeah, but see, some of that's gonna be a problem, but we'll get to that later.
But
Yeah,
that's the
like,
rail
yeah,
trail.
Should it be?
So now you know what rail, you know what
Those are the issues
Yeah.
that
Because
come
then
up
Peter
when we
Martell
actually
used to
start
live
doing
there.
the stewardship.
You bike back here.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, we did.
There's not a lot of-
Okay.
I think this
There's more,
was good
isn't there?
progress, just chaotic
House
and
there.
as it
There's a
all
mailbox out
seemed
there.
and sounded, would give us some directions to
So
go in,
this
and it
is
may turn out to
Worthley.
be easier than I
Tipping
thought.
Rock. Tipping
Well,
Rock.
and if we
Well,
can.
you're doing all the work, David, so far, so it's been great.
There
Yeah,
is.
right.
If we narrow it down-
Thank you, we
This is awesome.
appreciate all this, right?
But if we
But-
get it down
It's
to like
interesting how
4 or
they
5
do-
lots.
They use all the
And then
Indian,
we
the
find
Indian, the
some
Indian names.
interior lots that
Yeah.
are still owned by someone.
Yeah.
Where's
I
We
know
can
it's
try
Mount
one more
was
time.
Indian, but
Okay,
they
got it.
did the,
It seemed to me there were
Yeah,
people
no, I
who
did
lived in
think that
Texas
was, I
or
was thinking
someplace,
that was very
and
interesting.
they always paid their tax, because the tax wasn't much.
She,
But they had been, you know, it's like been handed down by generation
Wow.
to generation, people don't even know
Yeah.
what they got.
there's any houses
I
there.
have every
There's
reason
nothing
to
on
believe
this
that this is
I
accurate
think
in
it is
terms of the privately owned.
That's true.
I have no reason to doubt
side.
it.
And I don't know
Okay.
how many houses.
And like
he
I
has
said,
there.
I have clicked on every
Or how
single
many,
one and
you
traced
know, whether
it.
that is
Every
all
single
combined
privately
to
owned
one
one I've
lot.
verified
But
is
there's only
privately
one
owned.
house.
David, were you getting a callus on your finger?
No, but you get pain in the
Oh.
joint from the
Okay,
licking all the
yeah,
time.
okay.
Do you mind if I see that?
Just
But
There's
some
not
of
that many
those,
That
buses
reflects
go there.
what's
I
on
don't
the
know why
GIS.
he's
Not on
doing
here.
it.
Yeah, nobody rides
some
that.
of those
It's on this
lots that
side,
are
we ride.
interior lots are
Oh,
probably,
No,
down
but
the
you-
Clarks.
But,
we could try
no,
again to
but,
get them to give us.
Yeah.
Jim Shirley said
And
this way
most
he
of them
didn't have to
actually
ride.
aren't
He found
that
it right
interior,
here.
they're pretty close to the edge.
Just now, he could
Okay.
ride
One of
this
the
here.
biggest
Yeah.
remaining,
Supposedly.
almost
Okay.
remaining
I don't know
interior
what the
ones
down
that
will
already
be
come in.
verified. He still has one
The
that
springs one
says
for these
multiple
also on the
68,
side
so
of
we
the
don't,
mountain.
I don't know.
Yes.
I think
All the way up the trail.
Yeah, this completely.
But there's some that we
No,
figured out
no,
were
right.
actually two
They're only,
lots.
what are they,
But
10
we
by
call
10?
them that as.
Maybe they want
They're
to
supposed to be
have
50 by
10
50.
These small ones are maybe 90 by
Eventually.
90?
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
this
Because
was.
they have the
Driveway,
measurements on the
like
bottom,
forever, never,
75
don't they
by
just-
75.
Right, so when you say build,
Become
They
their
weren't that
driveway.
big.
Billy, I thought some of them were 50 by 50.
Well, maybe even
I mean,
smaller.
yeah.
Oh, I
Some
don't
of
know.
them are
Yeah,
even
they're all
smaller.
different
they're
sizes, yeah.
size.
Yeah.
There's
There's
some really
also
small
other
ones.
things that, there's like a couple places where there's like a circle for a park or something.
Spring
and-
Park, right.
and a Spring Park, and then there was Summit Park, which obviously has been split up into a lot of lots since then, so that'll be another thing that's probably all covered by
20
towers.
degree.
Yep.
So what about some of these lots? Don't get mad at me. So some of these lots that abut a home that really do not
So
have a
that's the
conservation
pond.
purpose are these little tiny lots. Have you ever thought about letting the homeowner take it and make their lot more,
Right, it's this
you
one
know,
right
like,
here.
not
this
taking
one,
it or
This right
offer it to them to make their lot bigger?
Sell it to them.
Yeah.
Cause you had some that were like, they'll say like, what is it? Is it Mountain Base Road goes in and there's like some lots on it?
Hi,
That are
those
like-
people, when you walk the back line of their property, you wouldn't believe the garbage that they have, and that they have built tree houses.
Yeah,
I know.
And they've already gone
That
very
goes through.
Like as
That
you're
goes
coming
through,
in like
yeah.
here,
No,
and
they don't
then they
plow
got
it.
like someone's
And
house,
people
like.
on this end,
Even
go
if
this
it's a
way, people on
conservation
this
No.
end.
reason makes
Even
sense.
if we have that discussion, first step though is to find out what
What
the
it is,
status of
okay.
everything is
Driving a wheel
and go
truck.
from there.
Cause is it the greens
These
that
are
are
big, what are they
privately
called,
owned?
since we-
Yellows are
The
privately owned?
yellows are
Put something
private,
in a
the
thing.
colored in ones, these
But
are
so when they
ones
came up
that
last
since
year,
this
she
map
wanted
was
to go
printed,
What do they call
I
it?
clicked on them and
Something
found they
about-
had been transferred to the town.
Okay,
Like this one we got last
so
year.
the yellows are
They hide
privately
it,
owned.
and then
Just the
it's
yellows are
out there.
privately owned.
Oh,
Everything that's
geocache.
light blue
Geocache.
or been
We
colored
did,
with
though.
Alright, so
So
like,
it's
so like
like
this
cash
one.
something.
So he's
Signs
big
along
enough.
some
He's big
things
enough.
back here that said conservation
We
land.
could
Actually, I was up in Bedford's pulpit area
That's
by
right,
mistake.
they're like,
I
hey,
had
we
some
offer this,
geocache. I
and
didn't really
because a
look.
lot of these lots are
What
not
is this?
conforming because they don't meet the 5 acre minimum. Because that's all
It was really
zoning
nice.
conservancy.
They sit there
So,
with the selectmen at
They all have to
their-
go through a
their
whole
disposal.
process, but like part of
And
Mountain
then I
Base
was
Pond is
sending
actually
all of
town
them a letter
maintained,
that's
just to
like-
make theirs more,
I mean, when you look at
Conservation
these,
land,
oh,
And I,
this
like,
is
we go
lucky
up
to
and look, and
live
you're
next
like,
to
well, that's a
conservation
nice
area,
grassy
and be
area.
able to
One of
walk
these
and
have to go
enjoy
on
it, but no,
conservation
you're
purposes
not
for
allowed.
lawsuits.
building
Step
three
one,
houses,
what's
your
the status of
garages.
everything?
Yeah.
And then
Throw
we
your
go
It's
on.
just, you know, that's just the
Yeah.
thought,
Some of these
and,
people,
cause
I remember the consolidations.
Yeah.
Some of
put it
them
on the
are
tax
squatters,
rolls,
they
let
just
someone get
squat
taxed
it
more,
through
you
the
know?
Map.
But-
There's
make
not
their
that
lot
many out there.
more
And then
that
Peter
consolidate.
I would say
Martell.
down there, it just prevents them from
Lived
getting
Either a
Either
family
potentially,
bought
even
bought
though.
four of those.
Oh,
or
right,
somebody
I remember
decided
Stewart.
There's a
that.
they
couple
wanted
of
to
trolleys
buy it,
that are
sold
now.
it.
They're
like that
down
one
in this area
particular.
down
Did the
here.
paper roads.
That
The
would
question
not
was,
be
what do you
great to
do
sell.
with
I mean,
that
we can
land?
Oh,
just
that's,
call it
this
land.
is, this is the,
Divided
where
in
people
half
park to go
between
swimming
the
and stuff,
butters.
you're not gonna get rid of that.
Yeah.
This is actually used as recreation.
Right,
Yeah.
that's
So
it.
this is the little area that she's talking about right here,
No,
that's whale area.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff there, if I
Yeah.
remember. I think there's houses there.
Well, there's people living in the old trolleys.
Yeah.
If you look along the edge of that
Mhm.
road that comes up, I think there's at least two, or
Yeah,
maybe
Peter
three.
Martell's was a real
Like, even
trolley.
like-
It was a
Your
real
point
trolley.
is taken, but
Gone.
again, let's figure
No,
out what we're
I
doing.
know,
How's
like
that?
I'm saying, like
Next
these
one
two.
down is a trolley. I think the
Right.
next two down, they're
I
probably
think there's
trolleys.
two or three
These
trolleys.
Trolleys that they just
Like-
built around
I've
it.
never,
Look at it,
I've
look at it
never
real
noticed
closely.
You look at them real closely,
And you'll see the
not
trolley.
Well,
Because
you know what I
they
mean?
have the
Yes,
front-
don't have any buildings
actually,
or anything.
Jane, have you been there recently? Because the trolleys have
On the
become
left as you
more,
go up.
Yeah,
The
well,
left.
because you go
Yeah,
down
I
the
know this
lake.
being on the mountain, how you
Right
there,
after
it's-
you pass.
It's just when you see the
Right after you
little
pass that
ones, like
pond.
even
But
this is in the
some
middle
of,
of it.
some of these ones that are
Pond,
more interior,
just
like
Just after
this one,
that,
they never
Peter
had any-
Martell had a
there was no
real
people
trolley.
there,
He
nobody's
was the
living
next
in it.
lot.
one of
Right.
the
There's probably
store
nothing
ones
on
from
it.
the.
No.
Or just a.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
solid,
think they were,
contiguous.
they were, yeah, but then the next
Then-
house
Well,
was
I get
right
like down here and.
And
You know,
they
but
built
I-
around
we're-
it, but you can
Again,
still
we're
see
getting
the
way ahead
front,
of
yeah,
ourselves.
round
That-
it.
Let's
Really?
get the status of
That's
everything
part of a
before
trolley,
we
and I think
start
maybe
thinking about
one-
what we're
Get in
doing
trouble
with
with
stuff.
That is a trolley too?
But you know what I mean, like
I-
some
I know
areas
what
that
you
like, you go out there
There's
and
at
you're
least
like,
one.
that's
Yeah.
What a
nice,
shame.
sometimes
We
some
should,
of them, this is Andy Grass.
That'd be really cool
I
for
don't know
the
what
town
happened
to
to Peter
buy.
Martell's, that
And
just
then
went,
the town
it
said-
was
And
in
it gives
such
some of them
disrepair.
frontage,
He
too.
was a great man, he was on this
Okay.
commission from the beginning.
my
Peter
zoning
Martell,
officer.
back
Yeah.
when the commission was formed.
Ask him if he's.
So David,
It does
anything else?
nothing for commission, it'd be really
Coming
cool
up.
for the town to own one of those and restore it.
I bet there aren't
I have a
any.
question.
Are you all set?
No,
Okay.
Oh,
Almost,
almost.
it's past 8:30.
So just other food for thought, I mean, this is the focus start and this is good and this is what we wanna wrap up. Doesn't mean there's a couple other things that are simpler conceptually that could be done in parallel if someone's interested in taking the lead. So one example is at the top here,
where the
It's where-
towers are?
just beyond the towers, and you come down into town-owned conservation land, ones we definitely have deeds for that I've researched. There's a couple of the remains of a couple of the shacks. One is completely collapsed and there's really, it's just a pile of rubble.
Are those
Looks like
close?
it was timber frame cabin because it's big solid timbers which are rotting just fine. But there's a lot of asphalt and stuff like that mixed in. It would be nice to clean the garbage out of it and clean that lot
Those
up.
bed springs.
And then another one, a
that a
cabin
Boy
which still
Scout
has
project?
walls and a roof
For
which is
sure.
caving in, the floor is completely gone.
Yep.
But it's an eyesore and it's actually kinda dangerous with kids jumping at it. And it's on our property, we're responsible for it. We really should get that cleaned up.
Is that one of those things you get the fire department to burn?
It's in the middle of the woods, that'd be a bad place
I'm
to
wondering if it
burn.
were
In
more
the
like a
wintertime
Boy
with
Scout
can
project, but
kerosene?
we'd
I like
have to
going
have
to that
somebody
glass house.
supervising.
But
it.
we don't.
Not me.
It's kinda cool to go visit it.
We could, on the one that's
You can
still
watch your phone,
standing, we could have, you don't have to do it all in one cleanup day. You could have the first mission go out there and just clean up the trash around it. And there's like a lot of strips of aluminum that were the windows that can go into the recycle for the town, metal parts, the asphalt can go into garbage bags. We could clean the one side up completely and start cleaning up the other site and then come back to it later and bring down the walls and the roof.
David, are they close to the summit?
They're so-
The incline?
They're close and there's a big wide trail there that should be blocked off because this is going down to that tree that that record tree. This is
okay.
where the trucks are coming down. So we could actually bring in a pickup truck to that to be able to load the
The
crap up
things
and get
in,
it out of there.
And then,
And once those
Lock
are
that off.
cleaned and removed, then we should probably think about blocking that off so no more trucks can get down and continue to cause all the erosion and damage going down that slope.
You just hire a guy with an excavator and have him dump it all in a big dump truck.
Where is that, David, on the map? It's somewhere. pretty-
Oh,
I would do.
it's,
That'd
I
be hard to
don't
find.
know where a lot
I'm
of
not
times.
using all that
Well, if
dangerous
incline
rusty
comes up
metal
here, it's somewhere
stuff.
off
Yeah,
the
it's like
side.
that.
No way.
You know where the, just beyond the towers there, there's these two and then there's an open space where you have a view of the entire,
Mhm.
The
of
North
all the
Mountain.
Monadnocks. You
Yes.
see everything from
Probably
Tuttle
right there.
Hill all the way over to
It
Temple
even has a
Mountain.
little picture that tells you which one.
And there's an interpretive sign for it there. So you see that beautiful
Still
vista,
there?
just like less than 50 feet past that is where
Sometimes
the,
we put signs up
It's
there.
between that and the
Yeah.
incline railway, the incline, right?
Yeah.
It's between that.
well, no,
And
it's
even
not
at-
by incline, it's up.
It's on the opposite side almost.
Pallet up there and haul our
It-
paint.
I think
Between
you
Walker
hire a
and
guy with an
Other side of the
excavator
mountain.
Cut it all
just
down
Over
and-
here?
Yeah.
crunch it up
Yeah,
and
some-
throw it
Yeah.
in a
So
dump
it's just
truck.
coming up
Early
Summit
morning.
Take it
Trail.
away.
Yeah,
So you've got the
Well,
Walker Trail.
but we could start by
Yeah.
cleaning up all the debris
Right.
So
around
it's
it and
just
recycling
above
the
the
stuff and
Walker
getting it
Trail.
out of
Yeah,
there.
I am very hesitant to put my hands in.
And that's fine. I'm just asking if anybody
Some
would
of
be
us.
interested in doing that as well.
I would
Because
hire
some
an
people
excavator.
prefer going outside and working on.
I would definitely also do.
Oh, she does, but she also is worried about,
I just think some of
still
it's
see it.
dangerous.
okay.
Okay,
Uh,
anybody else? Charlie and I are in.
I'm in, yeah.
All right, so we'll have to figure out how to get a truck.
Let me,
Are you doing it soon?
mark it down on my-
You get a truck from the top.
Google Maps is so.
James, for the next 4 guys?
Yeah.
The little pack that's next to it.
Does it-
No, they'll
That's
love
too
We
much
could,
for
we
me.
could, we could do the initial cleanup this before winter sets in, and then probably worry about getting
We
the
can run up
walls
there
and
with
other stuff down
it.
later
Bag lunch
in the
for-
And then
spring.
ask the town to bring some
Yeah.
big rocks up.
Once everything's cleaned up
Yeah.
and we don't need
Oh,
access
ground.
anymore.
Yeah,
then
they're
block
driving
off the
big
big
I didn't
rocks.
know that was. So it's like one of those.
Really big rocks.
Really big rocks.
So there's
'Cause-
structures down there?
Yeah, it's like an old abandoned shed. Not that I've been
That's
in
fine.
it, but it's a little hairy in there.
All right, so, yeah, we'll probably need
Lots of
somebody with a
graffiti, yeah.
pickup truck. And, you get a
Oh.
pickup truck.
Nice.
Great. And then
Oh.
I'll also talk to Adam Jacobs, just
What do you
so
think
he's
back
cool
in
with
the
it, that
pickup
we're
truck?
bringing stuff to
Sometimes
the
you go by where
transportation.
they like have you,
And he will.
Billy. There are 2 things behind your truck that,
Big
So I have a
toolboxes.
tent on top.
what is that what it is?
Is that?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
canvassy things.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fold-out tent.
Okay,
I took it off.
so that'll be a simple thing that we can do. And finally, I mean, we still have money in our budget, right?
Yeah,
In case we need to pay for copies of deeds from the registry or anything like that.
Yep,
And also,
do.
I don't know if did anybody sign up for the NHACP meeting? Because, you know, we always reimburse people going to that.
I skipped it this year.
Yeah, I'm skipping it too.
Oh, yeah. Well, if it's-
I did go to that Old Growth Forest
Oh,
conference,
that's
and I contemplated asking if I could be reimbursed for that, but I wasn't gonna do it until I was sure we had plenty of money in the budget, so.
Was
I
that-
guess
I'm
I'll
sure
wait
you
till
can.
next month.
Was that worthwhile?
That was the best conference I ever went to, that's worth going to 20 NHACP conferences.
So would they, the New Hampshire Conservation Commission Association, you guys all get emails, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta give, I don't think you probably are getting
I
them.
haven't seen it.
Okay,
I haven't seen them.
because you're both on the
Oh,
Newbies, FNGs.
because at one point they asked for everyone.
I mean, recycle.
So I can send them and ask them to include you guys. Do you want to be included? Do you want some? See what they're
Your
doing?
email?
For what?
New Hampshire
Con-
Association of
Conservation Commission, so, no?
they usually send emails to everybody that's on the commissions, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have Jane's and Billy's email, I'm sure.
Haven't been updated, and I was
All
on the
right,
board of
that's
directors.
my other homework.
But I resigned this summer, so I'm no longer on the NHACCP board. Can't do too many things.
That's a lot
Right.
more.
I have, now, our meeting's almost over. I had a question, because I was coming by the lake, and it looks like the lake is being drawn down, and I keep thinking about the dams, are they doing anything with that, but I mean,
No,
so are
They
they,
just-
did they draw it down at
They
all?
always do,
In
Winter
the fall?
in the fall.
in the fall.
And they draw it down to repair anything on the dams, but they're not
They
gonna
just
do
draw it
anything
down.
on the
Yeah,
dams.
they just draw it
They just
down.
draw it
Just draw
down,
it down.
okay.
They usually tell you if they're gonna do repairs.
They just draw it
They might not
down,
tell
I
you.
believe, because they want excess capacity in case there's a lot of winter
Hmm,
flooding.
okay.
David, you have anything else?
I was just gonna say, so anyway, I mentioned that, and I was just trying to look up how much it was, and if it's too much, that's fine.
What, your
Reimbursement.
reimbursement?
It was expensive.
It
Like
was.
$350.
No, it wasn't that much.
Registration fees.
Oh, I did the earlier registration. Anyway,
Next time.
but next time.
Submit it.
Oh,
Well, you can submit it to me and I can ask Derek.
Well, according to our budget, we have to vote on it.
Patty, are you giving these back to
I'll
Paul?
No,
make-
because
I'll make a
anytime you guys have
motion
gone, I just submit it and they reimburse you.
Like,
Like,
this isn't for NHACC, this is for the old road course now.
Right.
with the conferences, yeah, no one's had to vote on it. If ZBA goes to, remember, like, there's a conference, they submit it, or someone on planning.
As long as it's towards like the commission.
So we don't have to make
Yeah,
a,
you're allowed.
do we need a motion?
I'm going, yeah.
to
I
submit?
mean, is it like $300 though?
Do we need a motion to pay him?
200 or 200 or
Yeah.
something, I don't remember, I'll find it and send it, and if it's an
Okay.
issue, then that's okay.
Do you guys want to, you guys can vote to reimburse.
Let's make, I'll make a motion that we reimburse David for the Old Growth Forest
Right.
conference that he went to.
I'll
Second.
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We go.
Okay,
And I would love to discuss that topic with any of you at any time, I'm just not gonna keep you here all night, because man, there was a lot of stuff covered at that conference, and it's relevant to some property we have here in town.
Good, you can do a
It was-
presentation.
Okay.
It was an awesome conference, one of the best I've ever been to.
Is it going to be annual?
The last one was
Like 20 years ago?
13 years,
Oh,
20 years.
Oh.
So no.
But they're hoping to do another one in a couple of years, probably Vermont next time, because they're up and down
Maybe I'll do that.
throughout the east. This is the second time they've done it in New Hampshire.
Patty, I'm
Ready
gonna
for a
let you
motion
put
to
this up.
adjourn?
Yeah, second. Motion.
I'll second it.
There you go.
All those in favor?
Okay, I'm making
Aye.
myself a
Aye.
note.
Opposed?
Patty, I'm gonna have you put this up.
No, I'm gonna
because-
have Susan pick this one
No, I'm
up.
gonna keep it if we're gonna look at it the next meeting. Can
Oh,
I
you're
keep
just gonna
it?
leave it here?
No, no, no.
No, but that's what I'm
She's gonna
saying.
roll
I
it
don't
up.
want to.
Don't roll it. It
Don't,
was-
don't, just leave it.
Yeah, I'm
Take care of
saying,
it.
you've seen us trying to flatten this thing. I might have to make another, if he didn't scan it, I'm gonna scan
You
it.
have to say on that.
Yeah, well,
Put some books on
I
it.
think
just-
it's-
Yeah, we had books on
We don't want it to
Can you
disappear.
scan it again
Like a lot of
this?
things
Patty,
do.
maybe there's a better copy, maybe this one goes blue thing.
The blue one,
David,
I
my
would
wife
be
will
able
do
to
it.
do.
What do you want?